And in cold hard cash, it's Hail Marys and money. Enter now at talk.tv/win and get set for a gilt-edged trip to the Golden State you'll never forget. For your chance to win, text TALK to 8338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or call 0343-418-7260. Lines closed 22nd January 2026, 4 p.m. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus. UK residents only. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. So for your chance to win, text TALK to 83338 now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hey, very good morning, my friends. Just gone 6 o'clock. We're live across the UK on the home, of course, of Common Sense. It's the place that you come and have your opinion. It's about alarm clock Brits. All of you working this morning, a very good morning. JK on breakfast till 10 o'clock. And, well, yes, there we go. Yet another fantastic weekend and another start to a week where I'm going to read you news stories that will make you think that, frankly, it can only get worse. Poppy Coburn will be doing the papers in just a bit. She just said, wouldn't it be great to wake up or walk into a story that would make you laugh, like Keir Starmer's been arrested? If only. The big news. Do you know, let's just get straight to it. Good morning, Poppy.
Good morning. How are you?
Did you just say to me that you're taking a week off soon to go hiking?
Yes. Yeah. Very wholesome holiday. It's going to be absolutely freezing cold, probably snow, definitely ice.
And with your dad?
Yeah.
If I said that to my 22-year-old daughter, she'd just go, yeah, whatever.
Oh, no, it is very nice. I very much enjoy it. And Dad's paying for it, so I'm very grateful.
See? The partner paid for Japan, your dad's paid for the hiking.
This one. I know, and I'm just trying to figure out someone else to pay for me to go to Magaluf for a week in the summertime.
I got pepper sprayed in Magaluf.
Oh.
Another story altogether. 6:05, a very good morning to you. Poppy, let's go straight to it. The Sun newspaper. I mean, the BBC is in everybody's sights and continue to be in everybody's sights because it seems to so many of us that it's not only biased, but it seems to reward anybody who's slightly warped and charge money that it doesn't need. Great story, front of the Sun. Let's get straight to it. Taxi for the BBC. Licence fee scandal. BBC bosses are set to splash out up to £63 million, 63 million quid on cabs, despite saying they have to save 150 million quid so that they can concentrate on shows like Strictly and Traitors. This organisation should go to subscription only, shouldn't it?
This is kind of amazing. One of the trips cost £484, a one-way trip from Salford to Oxford. Have they heard of trains? Like, it's not even an efficient way to get around, which is the stuff that I find confusing. I mean, it's a great time to be a taxi cab operator, isn't it, at the moment?
Well, not if you live in London with Sadiq Khan.
Well, Sadiq Khan perhaps not, but if you're living out in the provinces, you can get asylum hotels ferry between various doctor's appointments. You can apparently take BBC stars who apparently are incapable of driving their way or getting the
Is this just for stars, or is this for guests?
Well, it seems to say guests, staff. So it seems like everyone involved is getting cabs to the BBC, which, again, is very strange. If you're travelling in at really unsociable hours, I completely understand you need a cab. But if they're just doing it for everyone, that is
willy-nilly.
The BBC, based in London, this is probably the best transportation system we've got in the country. I mean, there's not really that much to compare it to be frank with you. So you could get a bus. You could probably walk if you live close enough as well, and you could get the tube.
Work at the BBC.
It doesn't make any sense. I can understand why OK senior staff, but everyone needs to get a cab.
It's quite interesting. So they're telling us they need to save 150 million quid, which to me lays the ground out for a licence fee increase, right? They're setting up a 5-year contract equivalent to more than 361,000 TV licences. It's a 24/7 cab service, as you said, employees, presenters and guests, as well as equipment. I'm going to put my microphone in a cab and send it to Scotland. That'll be 800 quid. Don't worry about it. You're right. The licence fee is going to rise from £174.50 to £180. Everybody believes that. So the simple question this morning, my good friends, is Do you feel you get value for money? I mean, I'm not condoning not paying your licence fee, but this is an absolute what's-it-take, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think we had this conversation last week about you can't say that there's no money to spend on like public services if you're the government if you're wasting money in other areas. It's the same thing with the BBC. You know, they're always saying how skint they are, complaining about to the government they need the licence fee to be increased or it needs to be protected. But then when stories like this come out, you're like, £63 million
on taxes. Let's get straight to it. We want to hear from you. Christian is back in the hot seat. Good man, top producer. 0344 499 1000. You can do your voice notes. Of course, we want your calls, but get those voice notes in nice and early. 0344 499 1000. Text throughout the show at 87222. Start your message with the word talk. Straight off the blocks. Mick in Wallington. This is the second story. You're preempting me now, Mick. He says this week, I hope to see the West Midlands police chief sacked for gross misconduct because policing in this country is in real trouble. Front page of the Times, a story that will not go away. Even Labour MPs urging the Home Secretary to sack the police chief in Fans ban. Let's just give a bit of detail on this story. This is Craig Guilford, I believe.
Yes.
The Chief Constable of the West Midlands. In essence, I'm going to sum it up. I don't want to offend anybody. Out of nowhere, there was a game of football late last year in the Europa League between Aston Villa and Maccabi Tel Aviv, an Israeli team. According to the police at that time, having spoken to local council leaders and local community leaders, they decided to ban all Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. They said they had a history of trouble. They said that they would cause undoubted damage, and that was the reason. Over a number of weeks, it transpires that this was nothing more than kowtowing to an Islamist base in Birmingham. I'm not lying about that. There was a video that we did where they were calling for complete anti-Semitism. And this guy has been, this guy is still in his job. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood, right, has been now accused of misleading Parliament. Apparently she knew 8 days before the ban was going to happen. How the hell, and I know I keep going back to it, right? We talk, and I find all racism abhorrent. Why is anti-Semitism? Is it because Jewish people are white? It's disgusting. And are the police in this country, I know some people won't like what I'm about to say, are the police in this country running scared about certain parts of our communities? You think Rotherham, it took 8 years because we didn't want to upset the local community. Policing should be policing, whatever the colour of your skin, shouldn't it?
I don't think they're just running scared. I think they actively seem to have some kind of complicity with this. I mean, they're completely obsessed with the multiculturalist religion, right? I mean, the guy involved in this, Craig, the chief constable, the stuff I found most remarkable from the parliamentary hearing on it was one of the MPs had said that he had basically come up with evidence after the fact to justify a decision he had made to ban the fans on the kind of drop of a hat, because he just didn't want them to be there in the first place. And then he kind of works backwards to try and come up with excuses for why they're not coming.
Can I play a clip, actually, if you don't know what we're talking about? This is Craig Guilford, West Midlands Police Chief, still in his job, being quizzed by the Parliamentary Select Committee. I mean, slightly dodgy. Have a watch.
Why are we hearing about this now? Why is it that a report come at lunchtime today for the Times newspaper that you had information on the 5th of September that there were likely to be vigilante groups within the West Midlands community itself who were planning to take action against the Maccabi fans? How is it that this committee is just hearing this for the first time?
Well, I think this is the first time specifically that you've asked for that detail. Well, that's what we tried. That's what we tried to get across.
Absolutely outrageous.
It is outrageous, and I'm going to go further. A friend of mine, Rob, sent me a message, and I can't read all of it, but I want to read a little bit of it because I think it's really relevant. He says, "This is police deceit. Is it because they don't believe the police that the public can handle the truth?" He says, is the reality not that the police can no longer sustain their authority in parts of Britain and have to lie to preserve the illusion? I think it's very true.
That is precisely true. They completely lost control of the actual policing of Birmingham. And listen to the way they talk about community leaders. Sorry, what is a community leader?
No idea.
Because this is supposed to be a country that's built on individual rights.
Yep.
Okay, so every person is supposed to be treated equally under the law if you're a British citizen. Who are these community leaders? They are unelected people. We don't know who they are. Actually, sometimes we do know they are. They're extremists in many cases, okay? People who have made anti-Semitic comments in the past, anti-British comments in the past.
Can we try and find that video? Do you remember that video? We played it before Christmas.
Yeah.
It was three Asian men outside Aston Villa Football Club. I'll see if we can find it. Basically saying, if you think you're going to come, you're going to get. I mean, I'm not even paraphrasing. You're in for trouble. Don't turn up.
The Conservative MP.
Yes.
You know, and that's his football club. He was standing outside and they were threatening him. An actual MP who was being threatened. It is outrageous. But again, with these community leaders thing, next time a police officer or someone high up in the police says something about community leaders, I think they should resign on that alone.
I don't understand.
That's not how we do policing in this country.
No, and I don't understand how Craig Guilford's still in his job.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Shameless.
Love your thoughts on that. I know I go on about it a lot, but I do believe, as I've said on many occasions, any form of racism is abhorrent, but it is not given. I don't think the right way to describe this, Pops, but is it down to the colour of your skin? Because for me, I mean, let me tell you something else. The Metropolitan Police this weekend, I don't know if you've heard this story, again, disgusting, has been accused of standing by whilst pro-Palestinian protesters targeted an Israeli restaurant in London. I don't know if you saw the footage. Dozens of protesters under a banner of the International Jewish Anti-Zionist Network gathered outside, it was Misnan restaurant in Notting Hill on Friday night. The police said, this is, honestly, I think they treat us like idiots. Officers were present as part of a policing plan to ensure people can exercise their right to protest peacefully. I want to ask this of the Jewish community. Do you feel safe in a country that's blatantly two-tier in its policing to you?
Well, and also, the hypocrisy is unreal. I mean, do you think the police would actually be that vigilant if it was an anti-immigration protest?
Of course they wouldn't.
No, they wouldn't. They cracked down immediately. When it was the farmers' protest, they cracked down immediately. But when it's the pro-Palestine protesters, they don't seem to know what to do.
So are we asking then, or are we saying that the police are scared of a certain section, the Muslim community, to name one, right? Are they terrified of making decisions based on what we know is right and what we know is wrong, for fear of stoking division, but sod the consequences with, I go back to it, sorry, the indigenous population or the Jewish population or whoever?
Well, I think the main problem here is that a lot of the senior leadership of British policing is entirely ideologically compromised.
Yeah, I agree.
Be that through anti-Semitism or just anti-British sentiment in general.
I found the video. Well, I'm not going to say I have. That would be ridiculous and a lie. Christian has. The gentleman's name was Ahmed Yaqub. They were hailing outside Aston Villa the ban on Israeli fans. Have a look at this. Is a community leader or somebody. This presumably is what the policemen listen to. Have a watch. Have a listen.
Maccabi Tel Aviv fans have been banned. Good news for Aston and Aston Villa supporters. And we need to thank our brother Ayub Khan for all his hard work. But that was the start of the work. We've got the violent fans away from Aston. Now is the next step.
Absolutely, like my dear brother Ahmed Yaqub just said, that the fans have been banned from coming, and rightfully so. Fans who in Amsterdam were chanting, kill the Arabs. The next step is, if we are banning countries like Russia and not allowing their fans to come, then quite rightly, we shouldn't be only banning Israeli fans. We should be banning Israeli teams. That's why on the day of the match, we will be here joining...
That is... and that was the advice that Craig Guilford went on, was it? He should be sacked instantly.
Yes.
You talk about this ideological bosses of whether it's West Midlands or the Mayor. Don't we deserve more?
Yeah, I mean, this hasn't been representative of the British public for... I mean, this is a Blairite problem. There's so many problems with this country. It goes back years and years and years. They wanted to have a police force that was cuddly and inclusive and represented modern Britain. What they've actually managed
Cuddly and inclusive?
Well, yeah, that's what it's all about, isn't it, right? It's like we don't want to offend minority groups, so let's instead bend over backwards for people who are actually bigoted, who are actually intolerant, who can't stand it when people from a foreign nation just want to go watch a football game in their city.
Do you think anti-Semitism is rife in this country? Because I do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's undoubtable. I don't know how.
Think it's a stain
I don't think you could. I don't think you could deny it. I think you can't say you're a civilised country if you've got an anti-Semitism problem like we do.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can. I think it's since October 7th, it's been everywhere. If you're denying it at this point, you're not looking.
And why is nobody doing more to stop anti-Semitism?
It's depressing, but my theory is that there's just not enough Jewish people in the country for politicians to think it matters. You know, they go, there's a massive voting bloc here in Aston. We don't want to upset this, Muslim voting bloc, so let's kind of go along with what they believe. And that the Jewish community, it's relatively small, so whatever, we're going to make a choice here which is based on numbers. I really think it's as simple as that. because I cannot think of any other justification for why they so consistently ignore their warnings about what's been happening. Warnings which have all been correct, by the way, after October 7th, warning about what was happening in this country. You know, when the Palestine marches was going on for a week, warning about extremists and those, and they got ignored at every single turn.
So you've got the West Midlands Police and Craig Guilford. We think he should resign. We think that's disgraceful. We think it was him bowing down to the Muslim community. You saw that video. Let's bring it back to what I said about Friday night. Mizzen restaurant in Notting Hill. The Met Police have been accused of standing by while pro-Palestinian protesters targeted an Israeli family-run restaurant. We've got some footage. Have a look at this. Have a listen.
Disgrace and show you what Zionism is really about. Racism, imperialism, and genocide. And we've been here because local residents came to us and asked us to join them.
So let me get that. I don't know if you're listening on the radio, you won't be able to see this. The police are literally standing by and doing nothing.
Yeah.
And yet I saw a man on a protest, a pro-Palestinian protest, with a Jewish flag who was immediately had the flag taken from him by the police and he was thrown into a van.
He was basically tackled away, wasn't he? Yeah.
I mean, it's just appalling.
It's also, I mean, stuff like this. These people have gone completely insane. I really genuinely. A lot of people within that pro-Palestine movement have really fried their brains the last couple of years because they've just been feeding themselves this kind of diet of like kind of almost extremist material where they feel that everything they do is justified. And listen to the stuff that's coming out their mouths talking about imperialism. It's a bloody restaurant. I mean, what have these people got to do with anything? They're serving food. You know, the fact that now you can't even say Israeli hummus in a supermarket because some mentalist will turn up and start slashing it and shouting at shoppers. Seriously, that's a real thing that keeps happening. You can't put out hummus from Israel because activists will walk around London supermarkets and remove it. I mean, that's what they, that's what they think activism
They'll
is.
remove hummus.
They'll remove hummus. They'll either defile it
I mean,
or
I
they'll
hate
have an
hummus.
argument
I'd
with...
have it removed anyway, but I mean, that's ludicrous.
Seriously, they're having arguments with people. Some poor bloke who's working in Tesco. It's like, what are you talking about? Do you think I'm the one that supplies the hummus to Tesco? But these people have gone completely insane. And I think, unfortunately, the police have had a hand in letting it get to this point.
Couldn't agree more.
Because they haven't drawn a line in the sand and gone, this is inappropriate, this is not in the public interest. Sorry, there's a right to protest, but you have gone too far. You are now harassing a small embattled community that had recently faced a terror attack. Manchester, that was not that long ago. And yet it's completely gone from the news. Everyone seems to have moved on from it. Well, the Jewish community haven't.
I couldn't agree more, and I love having you on this show because I completely, I've said it until I'm blue in the face. I have many Jewish friends. I think any form of racism is utterly wrong. It's contemptible, but the way that the Jewish community is treated. And the police, I want your thoughts on the police this morning, be it the West Midlands police chief who manages to hold on despite the fact that the Israeli team, his reasons for banning that team have been proven to be completely ill-founded. You saw the video there of a local, what was it, Ahmed Yaqub. We need to go further, completely anti-Semitic. You saw the situation in the restaurant on Friday in London. Police do nothing. Just a family-run business being completely and utterly targeted. 0344 499 1000. Steve in Cambridge. We wake up on a Monday morning wondering what disturbing news or stories we have this week. And then we have you putting the world to rights and the super wonderful common sense of Poppy. It's a fantastic start. Do you know Steve in Cambridge?
Thank you very much. It's very polite.
Big Steve. Good morning to Margaret. Margaret's in Yorkshire. Jez, it seems that community leaders have more authority than the police. Couldn't agree with you more, Margaret. Morning, Jez. That ultra-woke police chief has to go. No ifs, no buts. Kevin Southampton, very good morning to you. Hello to Roger in Hounslow. JK, aren't you blessed to have the amazing, beautiful and smart Poppy Coburn for company at such an early hour?
I'm not paying them to say this,
on a dreary Monday morning. The brilliantly talented, amazing and smart Poppy Coburn is going to be here every single Monday morning. And David Kahn says, if you don't pay the licence fee, then it's worth every penny. Thank God for breakfast clubs. He's obsessed with breakfast clubs. Poor old Big Mark, who works on the show, he made a really salient point the other day. We haven't got a bloody breakfast club. We don't get any breakfast. I've got a banana and a biscuit from the bloody hotel. We want a breakfast club.
I'm going to have some shreddies, I think, when I get
Could
to the
you not
office.
bring breakfast in with you, or was that a sexist remark? Poppy, can you sort of bring breakfast in for us?
What, you want me to bring like a McDonald's full slap up, you know,
You
sausage
like
and
that,
egg
don't you?
McMuffin? Oh, I do, I
Do
do.
you? That's
Nothing
why you're
beats
going
a
hiking.
hangover. Nothing beats a hangover better. Double sausage and egg McMuffin.
Love the thought. 6:20.
You're looking at me like I'm some kind of lunatic with your banana and your healthy. Oh, you got biscuits over there as well.
Yeah, Walker's
Just out of the
shortbread
fridge.
round biscuits from the hotel. That is my breakfast. But the McDonald's thing, the only problem with the McDonald's breakfast is I want to eat it, and then when I eat it, I feel
I feel so unwell.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's a good way to deal with a hangover, though. Nothing beats it. You
I
eat
don't
a
drink.
McDonald's breakfast and then you...
I don't drink.
Unfortunately, I do. I am doing dry January, though. I am doing
It's
dry
not work,
January.
though, looking at you this morning, has it? Did you drink at the weekend?
I did actually drink at the weekend. But one day. It was only one day.
Matter, man.
It was
Dry
a birthday.
January's gone. Poppy Coburn with us doing the papers on Talk 0344 419 1000 and text to 87222. A very good morning to you.
I was sat in the tent and he was showing me through photos of his phone, scrolling through. This was barbaric, horrific stuff. Blokes going through walls in vehicles and then jumping out and shooting everyone. You know, his WhatsApp picture was him with a mask on, with a gun like that.
You're in a tent with this guy?
I'm in a tent with this guy, and actually he's just showing me this stuff. I'm just thinking, this is not the kind of bloke you want to be coming to the UK.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
A very good morning, 6:25. It's Monday. It's pretty dreary, but it's very happy in this studio because Poppy Coburn, Deputy Content Editor of the Telegraph, is here, and all the men are sending messages going, "She's so beautiful and so full of common sense, and you're such a git." Listen, welcome. You're waking up to the news, of course, at the BBC. They're trying to save 150 million quid. Slight hypocrites, because they're spending 63 million quid. Front page of the current bun, taxi for the BBC. 63 million pounds on taxis for presenters, guests and equipment. Sorry, I want my microphone to go on holiday. Could you send it to Scotland? Ludicrous. And your licence fee could go up. The Met Police being targeted today, accused of standing by while quite vigilant and outspoken pro-Palestinian protesters targeted a restaurant in Notting Hill on Friday. Just a family-run restaurant. A typical example, I would say, of anti-Semitism in the United Kingdom, and of also this ridiculous story still coming out of Birmingham. The Chief Constable Craig Guilford, after his appearance before the Parliamentary Select Committee last week, still clinging hold of his job, despite the lies they've told, banning an Israeli football team's supporters, let's be honest, shall we, to placate the Muslim community in Birmingham. That's not me being in anything other than totally straight. You've seen that video. If you thought that was bad, Poppy Coburn. God, you love Mondays. Let's go to page 5 of the Daily Mail. An extraordinary story by anybody's standards. A Bulgarian woman who took part in Britain's biggest ever benefits fraud stole £54 million from taxpayers, has made a complete mockery of you, you hard-working Brit, by being... Well, she was jailed, wasn't she? What's her name? Todorova. That we'll call her
Tess... I'm not even going to try.
Mrs T.
Mrs T.
No relation to Mr T.
Yeah.
Jailed for 3 years in May 24 for a role in the conspiracy. 54 million quid, she and her cohorts. Basically, how long did she serve, Pops?
This is amazing. So, yeah, jailed in May 2024 for 3 years. May 2024. Now, how long ago was that? She's already
months.
out. Yeah. So she's served half the sentence.
That's not the story, though, people. She's returned to her London home. It's rented and paid for by you, signed on to Universal Credit alongside her husband. She's so depressed by being in jail she cannot work, and we're giving her £1,300 a month. And I'm sat here at 6:27 on it. How ludicrous. And the worst thing of all is that after the Mail did this investigation, the Home Office said, oh, I think we'd better have a look into her case.
Oh, you assume that apparently they can't do it unless the journalist points it out. I mean, I'm so glad we've got a world-beating Home Office, haven't we? And there's so many gems in this story that it's so funny. I mean, one of her neighbours, when the press turned up and was speaking to them, said, all she does is stand outside the front door smoking. She's always got a dressing gown on. That's all she does. I mean, fantastic, isn't it? £54 million stolen from the British taxpayer. Obviously, that money will not...
I was going to say, have we paid that back?
Yeah, I'm sure that will be somewhere probably in Bulgaria, helping fund the development of someone's incredibly tacky new built house. Seriously,
she's on form today.
If you go to Albania, apparently there are loads of towns that are massive built-up towns with marble houses that are built through benefits fraud, literally through money that's been afforded from the British taxpayer. So don't ever say that your money doesn't go on impressive building projects.
This is outrageous,
houses,
though.
Just not in the UK.
To hard-working Brits, you know, this is just an absolute joke, isn't it?
Well, every time someone says benefit fraud is a tiny, tiny proportion of all the money that we lose and tax evasion is a much bigger problem, OK, maybe that might be true, but really, £54 million. And she's still on the benefit system.
She's still very good, Big M. Big M's just said she stole nearly the equivalent of the BBC's taxi bill.
Well, there you go. Not quite high enough. But hang on, give her a few more years. I mean, she hasn't been deported. Maybe she'll be able to get.
But how is that you come out of jail and you sign? For me, apart from the money, it's the fact that she said when asked, I'm too depressed to work. It was the stress of going to jail. You went to jail because you broke the law, you tea leaf.
She only went for 18 months. I mean, can you believe that? You've stolen £54 million and you basically have a gap year in jail.
She faces confiscation proceedings, which means we get the money back off her. But while I'm on it...
But everything's paid for by the British taxpayer. The house is paid for by the British taxpayer. All of her money comes from the taxpayer. We're
her
just
dressing gown and her fags are paid for by you.
Yeah. I mean, why can't we deport this person? I'm sure she'll make, this is someone who's shameless enough that she'll steal from the British taxpayer. She will be giving every single claim under the sun, under the ECHR Convention, why she can't leave. And we won't be able to get rid of her, that's the truth. So you'll continue reading stories like this because the Home Office is completely impotent. They can't actually do anything. It doesn't matter what you and I think.
Does it not?
These people, well, no, apparently not, because they can stay there, they can not apologise, they can continue living in this country, they can continue being funded by you, until we get to a point where a government is brave enough to actually stand up and say, no more. We make our laws, we decide who comes into this country, and we decide who gets our money. And frankly, if you are not a British person, then you do not get access to that
I don't
money.
understand how anybody in government, just taking this story, I mean, they're going to say they didn't know about it, but people in the Home Office, or certainly in the local community who would sort of, if you like, allow that money, 1,300 quid. Has anybody not got the common sense to go, that's about the worst look you can possibly get. We're skint. We're paying billions a month in interest on debts we can't afford. And we're giving a woman who went to jail for defrauding you, the British taxpayer, 54 million quid, we're giving her £1,300 a week. How does that work?
But I think they've just given up at this point.
They shouldn't give up.
I don't think they care about explaining to people why this happens, because they've got it through their head. I mean, this is really the mindset of the Labour Party at the moment. I know this because I have to talk to them.
How is it when you talk to them? Because they won't talk to me. they?
They've given they just given up. I mean, they've won this massive election majority, very shallow, but it was a massive majority. Yeah. And what, a couple of, not even 2 years later, they're just like, oh, I wash my hands of the country.
They know it's over? They know?
They know it's over. I mean, the ones that aren't completely delusional do know it's over. But it's the people who work within the Home Office, it's the people within the civil service. I mean, there was that one anonymous civil servant who even said, maybe we should get Prime Minister Farage, because at this point, at least that means something might change. Because everyone is so fed up with nothing working.
I think the Reform would tell you that they probably believe the election could be sooner than it is. That's another story. But certainly we'd love to know what you think of that Bulgarian lady. The message that she is sending to you people is don't go to work today, don't pay your tax, don't do anything, break the law, steal 50 million quid and you'll end up out of jail after 18 months, probably in a cushy open jail, back on universal credit, in your dressing gown, smoking a fag outside your front door. She'd be on the Jeremy Kyle show in the past, wouldn't she? 6:30 in the morning, 0344 419 1000. Have you paid people to send me sort of gushing Look, you have, haven't you? Phil's in Coventry. He's changed the lineup. Morning Poppy and Jez. All right, OK, fair enough. Our woeful police force running scared of any ethnic minority, in this case the Muslim community in Birmingham or any city, is exactly the reason why the police should have been there on Friday on horses with riot shields and batons. The minute you cow down to anyone, you've lost it. This needs to end, and quickly. I can't tell you how much I love it when Poppy's on the show, by the way.
It's very, very funny.
I love the fact that you look like she's loving every single moment of this. Good morning to Louise in Ipswich. Jez doesn't mention you. Two-tier, what was that like? Two-tier policing. Remember the Southport protests where people were imprisoned for hurty words? How could these protests outside a Jewish restaurant take place? Quite simply, Louise, because it is absolutely two-tier policing. Chris, morning gang, the police force have been infiltrated by the far left at the top. This is what Peter Blexley says the whole time. He always says this is not the men and women on the street. This is the ideology from above.
It's the senior leadership.
Brian in Glasgow, morning Jez and Poppy, you're amazing. Police are so woke nowadays and it feels like they're wanting to appease the Muslim and other communities. Jason's in Worthing. Jez, Aston Villa should also be held to account regarding the Maccabi Tel Aviv, as they could have easily said that they refused to play the game. That would have put the police under pressure. They are complicit in being anti-Semitic. This is politicising politics. I also think that this decision comes from higher up the chain and probably lays at the door of our illustrious leader Starmer. It really wouldn't surprise me. Nothing seems to stick to Teflon Kia. I completely disagree with you. I think there is so much... What's that word beginning in S? It is not only sticking to him, but is coming for him. I'm sorry if people disagree. He is, in my mind, completely a dead man walking.
Yeah, I completely agree.
No way
I mean, look at the expression on his face. He looks completely like he's finished with it. He knows he can't pull it back from the brink. I think he's just waiting for West Streeting to do a leadership challenge and see him out.
How sad would that be? We'd love your thoughts on the Metropolitan Police, the West Midlands Police, the Bulgarian woman who stole 54 million quid and is back out of jail after 18 months and on £1,300 a month just taking her time. What about the BBC? 63 million quid on licence fees. What? While you're going to work? I missed this. We've got a voice note from Matt. See if you're good at this, right, Poppy? I'm not going to tell you what to say. Matt went to the Panto last night. Oh, no, he didn't. Back in 3.
Good morning, Jezza. Matt from Warrington. I went to Panto last night, last show of the year at Warrington, and all I could think of was Keir Starmer as Wee Willie Winky, Rayner, Magnificent, Lammy, what can you call Lammy? Widow Swanky. I reckon the Labour Party should have their own pantomime, because it's just an ongoing laughter show. Anyway, have a great day. Bye.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. It's Monday morning. We're here with Talk Breakfast. Jeremy Kyle and Poppy Coburn from the Daily Telegraph, going through the newspapers and trying our best not to get too mad. Jeremy, Poppy, the 54 million quid paid to that ridiculous Bulgarian lady. Is that why my winter fuel allowance was stopped last year, as they didn't have enough money? Great point. Richie's in Sussex. We love Poppy. Good morning, beautiful Poppy. All these pro-Palestinian activists are traitors to this once great country. The vast majority of chief constables are woke. Hello to Jamie from Hamilton and the beautiful Poppy. Jez, yet again the police are running scared of the Muslim community. I'm so grateful for you and this station and, of course, Poppy for doing, honestly...
I think they're taking the mickey out of you.
No,
now.
they're not. Sam's in Barnsley. Sam says, I mean, this is brilliant. Poppy is spot on today, as she always is. After a night on the red wine, sleep in and order a cheeseburger. Happy meal. Honestly, Geraldine's in Suffolk. Good morning, Jez, and the lovely Poppy. Anti-Semitism is terrifyingly on the rise. It never, ever will disappear. Let's say good morning to Chris on the BBC. Morning, Chris.
Morning, Jez. This is Chris from Preston. Just laughing at the article regarding the BBC and the taxi service. I mean, yeah, it's going to rise to whatever it's going to rise to, but I don't pay it. I don't pay it. As soon as they found out they protect people like Jimmy Savile and Hugh Edwards, I will not give that organisation a penny. I've had numerous visits to my house and numerous threatening letters if I don't correspond. Like you said this morning, it needs to go to a subscription service and a subscription service only. A bit like ITVX. Yeah, good morning to you and happy Monday.
Lovely. He sounds happy, doesn't he? I'm not going to condone in any way anybody not paying their licence fee for, but I do believe that we should all make it our life's work to expect the BBC, as our British broadcasting state broadcaster, to actually not only be fair, but actually give value for money. And I'm not just saying that because we're not part of that organisation. I think they are past what they were. Love your thoughts on that. Quinn in Rotherhithe. Good morning, Jez. I compare the TV licence fee to car road tax. I don't have a car, but I'm not expected to pay car tax in case I get one. I don't watch the BBC, the biased broadcasting company. Therefore, I won't pay a fee. They can shove it. I think that's... You see, I go back to that subscription service, you know. It should be. It should be if you watch something, you should pay for it. The police have taken a pasting this morning on the show and will continue to do so. The West Midlands police about the way they treated the Jewish fans of Maccabi Tel Aviv. The Met police also standing accused, the story you're waking up to, of standing by whilst pro-Palestinian protesters targeted an Israeli restaurant, Meizen, in Notting Hill in London on Friday. They're getting more grief as well. This story you want to do on the Mail, page 15. Met Police, check this, 2 sex offenders and 300 staff with a record still on Met Police payroll.
I mean, this story really, really is atrocious. I mean, one of those sex offenders had actually been... He was a child rapist. And this went to a board where they had overruled the fact that he hadn't been hired because he was a child rapist. And then after the fact him being taken onto the Met, I think he then committed more sex crimes. I mean, it's absolutely outrageous. And the reasoning for it is that they wanted to increase their diversity within the police force.
We had a story last week, which I think ties into this, whereby they'd literally dropped the employment sort of rules that you should go by, the interviewing technique, simply to box tick. And this wasn't just the Met, but the Met are the worst offenders. This was, I think, 6 police forces. To have sex offenders, staff... And somebody pointed out, which I thought was a really salient point, how come nobody's thought that organised gangs, criminals, proper hardened criminals, could have infiltrated or maybe have infiltrated the police forces?
Well, look what's happened to the prison services. I mean, they're completely riddled with gang activity because they're so desperate to hire people for the prison service. They hire anyone, basically, no questions asked. And I wouldn't be surprised if the same was the case within the Met. This is what happens, though, when you have 25 years of senior police officers being completely clueless. The sort of people you would want to be promoted, who actually know what it takes to keep crime off the streets, that know what it takes to actually get good people on board, have been sidelined. They've either been pushed early into retirement or they have not been allowed to progress up in their career. And I know that's a fact because I know 2 very, very good people who were formerly working within the Met who have now left because they wouldn't be promoted because they were white men to be completely frank. They were being constantly overseen for... Yeah, constantly passed over.
And can I tell you the other big criticism of the Met and other police forces is that these appalling, 2 sex offenders, 300 staff, these complaints about these people, if they come internally, they mark their own homework. The Met marks its own homework. So if you break the law as a Met police officer, you get talked to or you get investigated by your own colleagues.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
if they're in on it, how the hell are we going to get any I can't believe that we're sat here talking about the police like this. When I grew up, the police, she was scared. Not scared.
If you were right-leaning, or your conservative mindset, you would back the police. You would understand that the police had an important role to play in society. But now I think a lot of people are going, what the hell is going on with our police force? Because they're not actually solving crime, and they seem to be coming down really hard on exactly the sort of people.
But you see, this is completely and utterly runs the opposite. Because the story on the front page of the Times says the Met police boss says that last year in this city was the safest. His capital homicide rates fail. Yeah, now is this Sir Mark Rowley? Has he actually walked the streets of bloody London? Have you seen the prevalence of crime and knife crime and drug crime and county lines and all this horrendous stuff? See, you've got proof that sex offenders and 300 staff with a record are on his payroll. And this idiot's going on the front of the Times saying murder rates have dropped.
I find this stuff so frustrating because the murder rate stuff comes from gang violence. So maybe gang violence has slightly gone down in London, but if you are an ordinary person who lives in London, that means that it doesn't affect the shoplifting that you see every day when you walk to work. It doesn't affect the mad person on the tube who's trying to scream in your face and you're like, where the hell have you... Obviously you push through the barriers and you're just harassing people on your morning commute. It doesn't affect the people that you see sitting outside your workplace, either shooting up or smoking a joint, which I see, by the way, every single day because I work in Victoria. And so when people say, well, Britain's as safe as it's ever been, that's not true. We're an ageing population in this country. Crime should be dropping. It's actually plateaued. So the police are not doing a good job. It should be going down like this because everyone just wants to put their feet up and sit by the sofa with a hot water bottle. But that's not happening because we do have a serious problem with crime in this country because we've effectively legalised it in multiple cases.
Do you know what? I'd love to know what you guys listening think of that. We're almost legalising breaking the law. I said it yesterday to somebody. If you own a shop in London, in any major city, right, and you've worked your life to make that business, you've stocked it with stuff you've had to pay for, you only make a business by selling, people can come in and ransack that and the police won't turn up. Yeah. That's almost anarchy.
Well, it is, and the CPS has a lot to answer for as well. The Bulgarian benefits frauder we were talking about earlier, £54 million stolen from the British taxpayer, and she's not even serving a 3-year sentence.
No, of course she
which is a crazy sentence to be given.
She's depressed, Poppy. Stop being unfair. She's depressed.
But I mean, look, if you are a criminal, I mean, there's never been a better time to be operating because there are no consequences.
What a message from Talksman. Welcome to the Jeremy Carr Breakfast Show. What can you learn from the first 45 minutes? If you're a criminal, there's never been a better time to break the law.
If you are shameless in this country, if you're shameless enough and you're willing to take from other people, even though you don't deserve it, if you're willing to break the law, then you're not really going to face any consequences.
Do you know Mary in Canterbury? Good morning, Poppy and Mr. Kyle. Our once great country is gone, and I don't think it'll ever come back to what it was. To me, it feels like we're becoming a Muslim country, and one day the idiots on the left will have to take responsibility for what they've done. Look at what is happening in Iran against a Muslim regime. We're going to talk about that after the next break. Do you know Neil?
No.
Right. I want to see your face. Get the camera on Poppy Coburn's face. Good morning, Jezza. So nice to see you be joined by Poppy this morning. Can't she be on every day? She's great. If she fancies a week skiing in Switzerland, let me know. What's going on,
Skiing in Switzerland? That's a little bit of an upgrade on Wales.
Do you know what I love about her? She's not actually dismissed it, to be honest. Morning, Poppy and Jeremy, says Alison. I've been great. It's fine. Regarding the Bulgarian thief, in order for her to receive benefits now, she needs to show she was on benefits beforehand. She was. She was stealing 54 million quid, so therefore she's on the system for having received benefits. What a ridiculous and completely stupid affair. It is utterly, utterly ludicrous. Couldn't agree more. Morning, Jez. How is it that Boris Becker was deported in 2022 after serving his reduced prison sentence, but we can't deport this Bulgarian thief?
Very, very true.
It is true, isn't it?
Well, it's like when Shabana Mahmood intervened in the case of, who was it, the Ethiopian asylum seeker who had committed the sex offence in Epping against a teenage girl. Suddenly it was OK, we could deport him in this one particular instance, but all the other sex crimes committed by failed asylum seekers, oh, I'm afraid they're going to have to stay. So what kind of message does that send out? We just pick and choose which people we want to leave.
It's not a great start to the week again, is it, with the police and the BBC? We're going to talk about Iran, what's going on there, and Starmer's reaction after the break. But is that right, the name of the bloke that's got a voice note? Morning, Jezza.
Morning, Jezza. Jezza from Deal in Kent here. You talk about police standards. You can correlate the drop in police standards with the formation of the College of Policing. You need to call the College of Policing out more and more. It is the source of all evil in the police, as far as I'm concerned. The way in which they train the police leadership, they have brought the police service to its knees. Secondly, police officers needing degrees. What a load of nonsense. You don't need police officers with degrees, you need police officers with presence and street cred. Lastly, I want to say this. Some of the best coppers will come from the armed forces, but there's a bit of a moratorium on recruiting people from the armed forces for all sorts of woke reasons. As far as I'm concerned, former armed forces personnel should get a fast track into the police, get them in there, shorten the training, get them out there on the front line. And that's my view of the world. Thanks, Jezza. Oh, and hi, Poppy.
Breaking news this morning revealed that under the Terrorist Act, 242 people were arrested in the year to June of this year.
That's something you can indulge in as to all the people who aren't going to prison because, well, there's no...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good morning to Paul in Ivor. He says, morning, Jez and Poppy. Thinking about the BBC momentarily. Very little coverage of the Iranian uprising over the weekend. Is this because the BBC loves our Islamic brothers more than human rights? Have a great day. We're going to talk about that in just a tick. Steve says, morning to the amazing, fantastic Poppy. Owen's Euster, Jezza, sister. It's loving it. I don't care. I'm not like that. I'd like the lady to be here every single morning. She brightens up my morning. She brightens up your morning. It's just very important, and she's got better things to do. We've just been handed this story by the amazing Christian. We are going to try really hard to sell this to you. OK. So you are being held in Guantanamo Bay. Presumably you've broken the law. You're being quizzed by the CIA. You spend, I think, 6 years there, 4 or 6 years. Your name is Abu Zabba. Anyway, that's your name. And when you come out of Guantanamo Bay, you decide to sue the American government or the CIA for wrongful detainment. But that's not the story. Abu Zabuyada has never been to the United Kingdom. Could I make this point? He's never set foot in the United Kingdom. But it transpires that the CIA were provided with a few questions, a few tips about how they should interview him by MI5 and MI6. Ladies and gentlemen, this man has sued your country for being complicit in him being in Guantanamo Bay, and the UK government, sorry, that's Labour, has settled out of court. Sorry?
There's a really important quote here I just want to read out from the lawyer who helped get this man. We don't know how much money, but it's considered to be a substantial sum, so it's probably in the millions, let's be frank. This is what the lawyer said about this, who had sued our government over this case, which had, let's be frank, basically nothing to do with us. This case is deeply relevant today as states ride roughshod over international law. There are critical lessons about the cost of cooperating with the US and other allies flaunting international laws. Now, does that look like to you we can make our own laws because we're a sovereign country and we could do dealings with people that we want, including America, which is not a rogue state, it is the United States of America? Or does it sound like lawyers saying, do what we want or we will hold you ransom?
Absolutely, mate.
That is not ruled by law, that is raw by lawyers. I mean, the brass balls on this woman to actually come out and say that is genuinely
So we've got a man who's never been here getting millions because MI5 might have offered the CIA some advice on how to deal with him. She's never set foot in this country. You're waking up to a Bulgarian woman who stole £54 million in benefits, only served half of a 3-year sentence and is back here on universal credit.
Yeah.
We've got a police force that says, well, the Met, we're absolutely clean, but stands by while Jewish people on Friday night are completely abused. And we've got a state broadcaster that's spending 60 million quid on taxes whilst telling us that the licence fee has to go up. Why are we here?
It's because
I'm going hiking in Wales. I'm done.
Again, it all comes down to the fact who actually runs Britain, who has a stake in the running of the country.
Not the government.
Not the voting people of Britain. They do not get to decide what happens in their own country. This is not a proper democracy. When stuff like this can come out, when you could basically hold the government to ransom over a set of international laws which we signed up to have completely changed in their interpretation in the intervening period, and now we apparently can't opt out of. No. We're not allowed to change our minds because, again, we're not a democracy. I just find it's appalling. Look, I'm sure this man's case is very upsetting, very sad. I know that whatever's happening in Guantanamo Bay is clearly not very pleasant, but it's not got anything to do with us.
No.
It's the American
And can I
government.
ask a question that's entirely irrelevant, judging by his choice of clothes at the TV Choice Awards in America last week? Has Timothy Chalamet come from Guantanamo Bay in that ridiculous orange suit? Can we cut to another story quickly before you go? Huge pressure. Front page of your newspaper. Ban the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. This is known as the Terror Army in Iran. Now, things are happening in Iran. We all know that. We'll have seen the footage. Not a lot on mainstream media, I have to say, but more than 500 pro-democracy demonstrators in Iran have been killed. That figure is rising. Donald Trump has said there is a red line, and if the Ayatollahs cross that line, America is locked and loaded and ready to go. Before people jump on the anti-Trump bandwagon, let us remind people of some facts here. Iran and the mad mullahs that have terrorised those people for years fund every single terrorist group in the Middle East. Hamas, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas. They do, right? And there is a moral reason why many people believe that they should be overthrown. But Keir Starmer, it's really interesting. Keir Starmer, as impotent as ever, will not call out this Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, is apparently running around trying to organise, his response to Greenland. But this is central to the world, this story, isn't it?
This is precisely why we say the people who believe in concepts like international law and, kind of this touchy-feely European world order, which Keir Starmer believes in as well and is a part of, get things wrong. Because under Obama, not that long ago, they were trying to do deals with the Ayatollahs to keep them in power for the decades to come. And now the Iranian people have actually... this is a legitimate uprising that could well topple the regime, even at enormous cost to the Iranian people. I mean, there's this tragic 23-year-old woman who was shot in the head by the Iranian guards. And what can we do about it at this point? Well, apparently nothing. We're not banning the IRGC, even though we've been told to ban it by various people who are very in the know for years and years. Americans have banned it.
Why have we not banned it?
Well, we say that it gives us diplomatic leverage. I mean, it's crazy, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. I can only think there's some other reason why we haven't banned them, because that is it's like the Chagos Islands excuse, right? You have to become conspiratorial because you're like, you cannot be this stupid.
No.
Surely you cannot be this stupid.
I've always said the same thing about the Chagos Islands, so let me get this exactly straight. There's a cost of living crisis and people are really struggling, and it is a fact that because of the 16 billion quid that Starmer gave away to the Mauritian people, they won't pay any income tax for 16 months. Try explaining that to a hard-working Brit this morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Ludicrous.
I just think, I understand why people want to criticise Trump. I understand that he rubs people up the wrong way sometimes. Completely get that. But he's got a better grip on where the world is and where the world is going than our own leaders. Yeah. And that is despite our own leaders clinging to concepts like international law, clinging to the idea of being sensible and working through process and working through procedure, versus Trump who goes, sod it, I'm just going to do what I want. I'm American, we're going to do what we want. He's got it right more times
Completely.
than Keir Starmer has. So I think there's a lesson
Keir
in
Starmer
there.
on the international stage. How frightening is
I mean,
that?
a joke.
I want to
It's a
see if we
complete
can
joke.
just finish with this story. I know you're very busy and you're off skiing with Neil. Page 13 of the Daily Mail. Councils blow 115 grand on removing flags. Councils have been told to hang their heads in shame. After it emerged they spent more than 100 grand last year taking down St George's flags. A Freedom of Information request revealed the 47 councils collectively spent 115 grand on contractors to remove flags that have been strung on a lamppost because they believe that it sends out the wrong message. I don't know anymore.
I mean, at first I gave advice on the show, what is it, to get into crime, because there's never been a better
Yes.
time. I'm now actually giving legitimate advice, which is, if you want to make lots of money quick, you should do subcontracting for local councils. They are the biggest money wasters going. They will literally pay you hundreds of thousands of pounds to get a ladder, climb up ladder and pull down a piece of cloth. Apparently that's worthy of tens and tens of thousands of your local council money, so there you go. If you want to get rich quick, make sure you give me a cut, because I'm scared of heights.
She
I
wants a
can't do it
cut.
myself.
You're scared of heights?
Yeah, I don't like
You
it.
can't go skiing in the Alps with Neil then, can you? 0344 499 1000, text to 87222. Morning to Pete. He says the BBC ought to employ the Bulgarian benefits fraudster. It could then be called the Bulgarian Benefits Corporation because it benefits completely everybody bar the British people. Morning, Poppy, and your assistant Jez, says Mark in Selby. Honestly, I tell you what. The longer that any police service fails to deal head-on with the elements and the problems of the Muslim community, this is not going to get any worse. It's not rocket science, he says. Why are the police so scared? Ask the public for help if you feel you do not have the numbers, Mr. Police. I would be a deputy, as is in the old westerns. Just swear me in. Great show, Poppy, says Mark in Selby. Brilliant.
Very kind.
Brad, morning, Brad. Reasons why Starmer is quiet about Iran. 1, Iran bans elections and Starmer cancels them as well. Iran shuts down the internet. Starmer's trying to ban X. 3, no jury trials in Iran. Starmer's trying to ban jury trials. The optics don't look great, says
All he
Brad.
needs is try on a little turban next, and the Ayatollah Keir Starmer will
The
be
Ayatollah
upon us.
Starmer. Morning, Poppy and Jezza. Great show. Brett from Basingstoke here. Happy Monday or not. The news gets better today. I pray every day for an early general election. Bring in old Nigel and kick some arse. I don't think he's that old. Well, do we know how old Nigel Farage is?
I think he's younger than Keir Starmer.
I think everybody's younger. Even I'm younger than Keir Starmer. Jenny, good morning. Good morning, Poppy, and your assistant, Jez. If Starmer puts our troops in Ukraine, Greenland and Iran, aren't we vulnerable to being invaded even more by those people on the boats on a daily basis?
Yep. There you go.
So, listen, unbelievable. Thank you so much. You're amazing. You're off on holiday with your dad, but you could be going skiing with Neil. Thank you so much indeed. Off to pound the floors at the Daily Telegraph.
Yeah, back to work, straight into work today. As everyone's heard, it's a busy news day, so let's see how much more money we can give away to criminals in the space of the 24 hours.
Absolutely. You are waking up to the news that the BBC is going to spend 63 million on taxes. The Met Police employ rapists and all sorts of weird people. And a Bulgarian woman who stole 54 million in a benefit fraud is out of jail after just 18 months and is now back on universal credit and getting £1,300 a month. Poppy Coburn, you're a legend. We love you. She's back next Monday. We return with Brendan O'Neill after the news at 7, which is next on Talk.
Thanks, Jezza. Oh, and
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hey, very good morning to you, my friends. Just gone 7 o'clock. Welcome to a brand new week on Talk. Home of Common Sense. It's the home of Alarm Clock Britain. You're out there doing your bit, you're earning, you're working, you're paying your taxes, and you're thinking, when you hear the stories coming out of this station, you're thinking, why the hell do I bother? I'm not going to lie to you. You're waking up to some astonishing stories this morning. The Sun, front page. The BBC would like to increase your licence fee from £174.50 to £180, whether or not you watch them. They're also going to spend £63 million on taxes for guests, for presenters, for equipment, and for pets of presenters. Now, I've made that last bit up. Absolutely ludicrous. The BBC yet again proving they are not at the races, biased in their coverage and untold takers. It's astonishing. If you think that's astonishing, we'll have a response to the next two stories from the legend that is Peter Blexley, ex-Met Police officer, in an hour. The Met Police today being accused of standing on Friday and doing nothing while pro-Palestinian protesters targeted an Israeli restaurant in London. The restaurant Meissen in Notting Hill targeted. Police do nothing. For me, I mean, I've made this point so many times and will continue to do so. Any racism is abhorrent, but anti-Semitism has been on the rise since October the 7th. It is not deemed the same as Islamophobia. Whatever you want to say, it is wrong. Anything that is against where somebody comes from, the way the Jewish community is treated, the Met Police today standing accused, quite rightly, I think, of doing absolutely nothing. This is on the back of their boss, man. This is brilliant. Front page of the Times. Sir Mark Rowley, boss of the Met, he hits out at false claims as capital homicide rates fall. Really, Sir Mark? Another newspaper article proves that there are 300 criminals, sex offenders and rapists still employed by your force. We have no trust in you. It's two-tier policing. Your thoughts on that? Also, the continuing saga in the Midlands. West Midland Police, Craig Guilford, still the chief constable, despite lying about why he cancelled that football match. More signs of anti-Semitism within our police. But perhaps the two best stories of the morning, peeps. Waking up and thinking, oh, I'm going to work today. The Bulgarian woman, Savita, whatever her name is, released from prison 4 weeks ago, having defrauded the British public in terms of benefits. Her and some other conspirators took 54 million quid in benefits from you. She went to jail for 3 years. She served 18 months, but she's back in her London home with her husband, and they're getting £1,300 a month in universal credit. I honestly do not know what to say. Keith in Oswestry says that Bulgarian woman's benefits are more than retired British citizens' state pensions. It's an absolute frigging disgrace. Could not agree more. 7:05. Lee, good morning.
Lee from Manchester. It's going to get to a point where the British people are going to have to probably fund their own police force, because this police force does not serve the British people in any way, shape or form. They are a reactive force rather than a proactive, and they don't protect us in any way, shape or form. I'd be quite happily give my tax money to somebody who can create a new police force. We need to do it, because this is just clearly isn't working, and they're not protecting us in any way.
I couldn't agree any more with you. We say a very good morning to my next guest. Delighted to have him on. Always love having him on. Brendan O'Neill, chief political writer at Spike. Brendan, good morning. God,
Hi, Jeremy.
We've got some stories this morning. I'll tell you what, take your pick. The police, the BBC, or the Bulgarian benefits cheat. What do you want, my friend?
Where to start? They're all as mad as each other. I mean, the Bulgarian benefit story is unbelievable. That's a real corker for your listeners this morning. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
It is completely extraordinary. If you're just tuning in, this is a woman, Savita Todorova, jailed for 3 years in May for her role in a conspiracy that stole £54 million, OK, from the British taxpayer. This woman was given 3 years. She served 18 months only, and is now back home in her London home, which is paid for by you, the British public. She and her husband, who can no longer work, because she's so depressed at what jail did to her. It's my favourite bit. They're getting £1,300 a month, 1,300 quid a month, Brendan, in universal credit. What message does that send?
It just sends the message that Britain is a laughingstock, I'm afraid to say. I love this country, but my God, we're going downhill. I mean, there are so many questions around this story. The most fundamental one is, should foreign-born nationals have access to welfare benefits in this country? And there are lots of people who say, no, they shouldn't. Welfare benefits are for people who've been here for generations, who paid in for a very long time. That's why it was created. That's what it was invented for. The authors of the welfare system would be turning in their graves if they saw what was happening right now. And then to make it even worse, not only does she defraud us of millions of our hard-earned tax, she then comes out out and gets more benefits. I mean, it is just the craziest story doing the rounds at the moment. I think if someone from overseas commits a crime as grave as this one, they should not be allowed to stay in the country.
I think they should be deported as well. I'm completely on. There's so much response to this. Sharon in Staffordshire, I'm absolutely livid this Bulgarian woman who stole 54 million quid from the system is still in the UK and getting that money. It's a bloody joke. She should be deported. Good morning, Phil. What do you think?
Morning. Phil in Nottingham here. Poppy, no, so nice of you to have Jezza on your breakfast show this morning. It's nice to see that you're inclusive. Just a quick note. So, how long a sentence did the people who put hurty words on social media get? And then you compare that to 18 months for stealing £54 million of taxpayers' money. Where's the balance? Where's the balance in all of this? Honestly, mate, it's ridiculous. You know, I'm up at 4 a.m. every morning to drive my lorry 5 days a week. I've even got to the point where I'm doing agency work on a Saturday. I did 12 and a half hours this Saturday just to try and get some extra money in the bank because my bills have rocketed so much. And I'm doing all of this for what? Honestly, mate, I could rip my hair out. Lovely to speak to you, Poppy. Keep up the good work.
Brendan, he's spot on, isn't he? He's absolutely spot on.
He's spot on, and he's really controlling his anger there very, very well. I'm not sure that many other people will be able to do that because he's right. There are millions of people in this country working their socks off to make ends meet, working hard to keep a roof over their head, to keep their children healthy, to keep life going. And then they see stories like this.
Yeah.
And, you know, the stories like this aren't just about the person who defrauded us. It's about the whole government. It's about our borders. It's about whether we have a political class that is willing to do anything about these issues. And obviously they're not. So we're being swindled not only by people from overseas who come here and take some welfare money that they don't deserve, we're being swindled by the government itself. And that's what really sticks in the craw, I think, for the hard-working people of this country.
Couldn't agree more. John in Yorkshire says, Jez, I was under the impression that if you falsely claim benefits, you have your benefits stopped until the DWP recoup the loss. And this is really interesting, by the way, Brendan. Jeff in, well, he says up north. I'm a DWP work coach. If you could see the money we pay out to people, you'd be demanding action. More than half of claimants are working cash in hand, not declaring the income and receiving universal credit and housing costs, on top of many thousands of pounds in cash in handwork, and we're basically powerless. Our fraud department doesn't look at anything unless it's over the £10,000 threshold. Millions of people are claiming universal credit whilst working for cash as cleaners, gardeners, plasterers, mechanics, labourers, car washers, etc., etc. It's outrageous. And DWP staff are powerless to do anything. We are drowning in these payments. I regularly see claims over £4,000. The myth of the cap does not bear looking at. It is utter madness, and I work in that system. That's rather telling, isn't it?
Incredibly telling. And, you know, it really makes me mad because I think welfare is a good idea in its original idea. You know, where if someone is really struggling or someone is disabled or for whatever reason someone cannot work, then it's right for society to step in and help that person. But the system we have now is undermining all of that. It is massively undermining the British people's trust in the whole idea of welfare, because welfare has become a soft touch. It's become a system that people here can exploit in order to get extra money on top of what they're getting cash in hand. And it's even become a system that people from overseas can exploit and send our money back to their family.
People are seething. I've got one more call and we'll move on. This person doesn't want to give their name. It's fine. This is also on the Bulgarian benefits fraudster. Have a listen.
Morning, Jezza. I need to remain anonymous for this message to do with benefit cheats and that stuff. That woman who stole £54 million, the Bulgarian woman. I know someone. I can't go into details, but I know someone who works in the benefit office, and this person had to deal with a claimant who had £400,000 of savings, and this person still wanted to claim universal credit. I kid you not. It really makes my blood boil. Anyway, have a good day.
It is a system, as you quite rightly say, in great honesty, Brendan, that was set up to do good and is being completely torn from pillar to post. Let's move to the police if we can. A couple of shocking stories, and we try hard on this breakfast show and on this station to try and find those stories that matter. I don't know if you saw the footage on Friday night. There's a restaurant, the Meissen restaurant in Notting Hill. Pro-Palestinian protesters targeting this Israeli restaurant. This is, I'm not going to put the sound up, it was disgusting. It was basically a family-run business. This has been happening to businesses, to companies and to individuals since October the 7th. I've been long saying that anti-Semitism is rife, but you watch. The Met Police do bugger all. They stand there and do nothing. They don't respond. They don't have an opinion. You've got the chief of the Met Police today on the front of the Times saying, stop criticising us. Capital homicide rates are falling. And yet last week we proved on this show, as did many in the media, that there are 300 criminals, rapists and sex offenders still employed by the Metropolitan Police. It is beyond contempt. We talk about a benefit system. Now the very people who are supposed to sustain law and order, so many are wrong uns, and so many of the decisions seem to be ideologically wrong as well.
Yeah, I've got some bad news for the Met. We're not going to stop criticising you because you deserve a lot of criticism. And, you know, after that horrendous gathering outside the Jewish-owned restaurant, the Metropolitan Police said, we're aware of protests that took place in London last night. No, this was not a protest. It was an anti-Semitic attack on a restaurant where families were trying to enjoy their meals. That's what it was. And it really it's like the modern day version of the brown shirts.
Yeah.
You know, when you're gathering outside a Jewish-owned restaurant or a Jewish-owned business, we know that Palestine Action smashed up Jewish-owned businesses in Stamford Hill last year. When you're doing that, you are not one of the good guys. In fact, you are echoing fascist behavior from the past. I'm old enough to remember when it was fascists who would gather outside Jewish restaurants or smash Jewish-owned businesses or launch attacks on Jewish people whose only crime is that they are in support of Israel. That used to be fascists who did that. Now it's so-called progressives and leftists. I think that action last night was repulsive. And the fact that the Metropolitan Police stood around is hideous. They would not have stood around if it was a bunch of white working class blokes protesting outside a mosque. They would have taken action. So why did they not take action here?
It's interesting what Sarah in Liverpool says. Security Council employees lose their jobs because of debt, yet police have criminal records and are still able to serve. I think it's a real issue. We've talked about this repeatedly. We've talked about the story in the West Midlands, the Maccabi Tel Aviv Jewish football fans banned from attending. That dodgy police chief Craig Guilford quizzed in Parliament the other day. I mean, blatantly, I don't care if this goes down like a lead balloon. He banned those fans. He talks about community leaders. It is basically anti-Semitic. It is to, I think, placate the Muslim community. We've shown videos of Muslim community people or suspect leaders saying, we don't want the Jews here. It's absolutely outrageous. And something has to give in this country. But once you lose faith in the police, and you know, I'm sitting here this morning, Brendan, right, and I'm thinking, right, so the benefit system can be screwed by foreign people and those who live here. The police, it's two-tier. They're anti-Semitic. If my watch is nicked or my phone or my shop's burgled, they don't even turn up. Yet if I write something, they'll put me in jail. And let's bring it on to our state broadcaster, front page of The Sun. Yeah. They want to increase their licence fee from 174 quid to 180 potentially. You have to pay that or you could be in trouble. Whether or not you watch it, we discovered today, great piece in The Sun, £63 million on cabs for presenters, guests and equipment. We're living in this universe, in this country that seemingly there's no common sense. Everything is upside down.
Absolutely. We're being let down by the welfare system. We're being let down by the police, the people who should look after us. And now the state broadcaster is taking the mick, which, to be fair, they've been doing for quite some time. Sure. I read in that Sun piece that the amount they're going to spend on cabs is the equivalent to 361,000 licence fee payments. So that's 361,000 Brits who are paying for these people to be ferried around left, right and centre in cabs to do their stupid shows that most of us don't watch. That's what we're talking about. It's like an extortion racket where the BBC is twisting our arm for yet more money to make shows that are increasingly unpopular. You know, the only thing I watch on the BBC now is The Traitors. Everything else, I look somewhere else. The license fee system is an outdated, archaic system. It just doesn't work in the 21st century when we all choose our own streaming services and we watch what we want to watch. The idea that we should be compelled to pay for these people's luxurious lifestyles and their fat pay packets, it doesn't work anymore.
I've left the best to last because I don't know, we were only handed this an hour ago and even I, who's done this for quite a while, nearly fell off my bleeding chair. Poppy helped me up. I'm not going to get the guy's names right. He's called Abu Zabuyeda. This gentleman was basically detained in Guantanamo Bay between 2002 and 2006. Can I just make this point to you, Brendan, and people listening? He's never been to the United Kingdom. He's never set foot in my country. He's never been here. When he was being quizzed by the CIA, there he is on screen, nice. The CIA took some advice from MI5 about perhaps questioning techniques. Some advice. This man gets himself the lawyer, one of these legal eagles, I suspect, sues the British government for being complicit in his imprisonment. You know, the war on terror. And the UK government has settled out of court a substantial sum. So they want to be able to come here and steal our benefits, people. I'm not being upsetting. And now you can be in another country and not even live in the United Kingdom and get millions because apparently our government helped in some way get you prosecuted for a terror crime.
I know. I'm speechless. I actually don't know what to say, except that this is indicative of the fact that the world has gone completely insane and we live under a government that has no cojones whatsoever, because they should have laughed in this man's face. They should have recorded themselves laughing in this man's face and shared it on the internet. That's what I would have done if I was anywhere near the levers of power. It's preposterous. It really is genuinely preposterous. And it proves that there is no limit to the mick that can be taken out of this country at the moment. Welfare being nicked, the BBC taking money that we can't afford to give them, and now this bloke from Guantanamo Bay suing us and getting our money because of some legal eagle, some social justice warrior who probably said to him, listen, you can get a few bucks of the stupid British government. It's outrageous.
You know, it's something, I was listening to you there, the sound of your voice and what I was saying before. And I find myself, even at this point, sometimes wondering, genuinely, is this really happening? Is such incompetence, is such a lack of common sense so prevalent? But that, to me, sums up where we're at in this country.
Yeah, completely sums it up. And it is that kind of incompetence, stupidity, but also there's something sinister going on as well, because there must be people in the corridors of power who know that this is ridiculous and they won't do anything about it. They'd rather save their own skins than raise a controversial point. We live under cowards and incompetents and idiots, and it's got to change.
Mate, it's always so great to have you. It's a great start to our week. We look forward to having you back on very soon. Brendan O'Neill, thank you so much, Chief Political Writer of Spite. 7:22, your response to these stories. We'd love to get your voice notes, 0344 499 1000, text to 87222. If you thought your morning couldn't get worse, Meghan Markle could be coming back to the United Kingdom this summer. Can anything... Get me Kinsey Schofield. Morning, Sean.
Morning, Jeremy. Sean from Grimsby. One can only wonder why the Prime Minister and the likes of the BBC are so quiet about what's going on in Iran. And I reckon I've got it. For years and years, the BBC and the Prime Minister have been telling us that Islam's the religion of peace and diversity, and it's all inclusive, and yet we can clearly see 60 million Iranians on Twitter who've had enough of the intolerant Islamic regime. So the Prime Minister's just too scared to say anything because there's too many people in the country who support the Iranians, the ones who go on the streets every week, and the pro-Palestine crowd. They love the Iranians, they love the mullahs, and if he says anything, it'll upset them, they'll all start crying, and then he might lose some more votes again. Great show, Jeremy.
I'm Mark Dolan. Join me every weekend from 6 a.m. for the stories that matter to you. We talk politics, we talk news, we talk entertainment, we talk about everything that affects your life. There's only one place to start your weekend, the home of common sense. Talk Breakfast on Talk. 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every Friday, Saturday and Sunday here on the home of common sense.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Hey, very good morning. Welcome to Monday, 7:25. We're live across the UK on the home of work. The Working Brit. Welcome to Talk. 0344 499 1000. You text the stories you're waking up to. The BBC, £63 million on taxes, was trying to say we need to increase your licence fee. The Bulgarian woman stealing £54 million as part of a conspiracy of the benefit systems. Her and other people. Gets 3 years in jail. Is back out. She's on £1,300 a month. Universal credit, for Christ's sake. And the police, the Met, under fire again this morning. Their chief constable says, we've got it sorted in London. Homicides are down. But you're employing 300 criminals and rapists, and you stood by, Sir Mark Rowley, on Friday while blatant anti-Semitism happened outside the Misen restaurant in Notting Hill, because the truth is, Sir Mark Rowley, and you won't come on stations like this, it's two-tier policing and you're terrified of certain sections of the community. Paul in Manchester, Jez, in 2020 I was overpaid by Universal Credit, who are now taking £50 out every week. It's disgusting. Phil in Coventry, the great train robbers stole 2.6 million, equivalent to over 50 million today. Ronnie Biggs got 30 years. If you steal millions in benefits, you should be jailed or deported. Brian's in Christchurch. Is that New Zealand or is that down on the coast? Hi, Jez. Is it time to create a national police force similar to those in France and Ireland that can be deployed anywhere as needed? And Cliff in Berkshire, morning, JK. I thought foreign criminals would be were to be deported once their sentence is served. I don't know what's the truth anymore, but I'll tell you one thing that should worry us all. If you thought it was bad, it could get worse. Meghan Markle could be coming back to the United Kingdom. Cue the amazing Kinsey Schofield. Good morning, Treacle.
You know, I'm just as concerned about this as you are. Why should you be punished in this way, shape or form?
I feel like
you're already suffering so much.
Listen, I agree. I think there's so much going on in Great Britain which is so utterly heinous. And now we face the trauma of Meghan Unsparkle returning. Apparently, this is really interesting. if he's given the security that he wants for him and his family, they will return for the Invictus Games. It's in Birmingham in the middle of the year. There was some stories out, Kins, the other day as well that he wants to invite his father, the King, to open this. It's obviously a massive move by him and her to try and ingratiate themselves and get back in with the monarchy. But from my point of view, certainly from the point of view, I think, of most people in Britain, they don't want to hear, mate. They don't want to hear.
So this is interesting because you just mentioned one of the stories I was going to bring to your attention. These stories that have been leaked from the Sussex camp over the last week or two feel highly manipulative. Someone from Camp Sussex leaking that Harry will get his security back. We talked about that last week. The only thing that would jeopardize that is the royal family intervening. That is what that article said. Then Harry wants King Charles to open up Invictus with him. Now, what you're talking about, Harry and Meghan coming to the UK over the summer, would be the preview for next year's Invictus. So you might have two Meghan Markle sightings, but let's hope not. Then Meghan will only return with full security. JK, this is extortion and premeditated manipulation. If you look at the time frame that these stories are released and what's within the stories, that Harry is certainly going to get his security back unless the royal family intervenes. Harry really wants to see his father open Invictus. Oh, Meghan's going to come back only if she gets the security she needs. Does that not feel like a PR strategy? Does that not feel like we're all being played?
That's the point. That's the point about them, that you never feel that anything is genuine, that you wonder whether it's said to get a reaction. I mean, I always try really hard on this show to understand that people who work, you're 8 hours behind, but people have been up 3 or 4 hours. They're grafting 40, 50, 60 hours a week, most of them taking second jobs because bills have gone through the roof, food inflation, all that sort of stuff. And I think the royals it's a precarious situation. We've had the problems with Andrew, we've had the problems with Harry and Meghan. And what I call the established royal family, William, Kate, the King, Camilla, are trying really hard to make, I think, the doubters believe that the royal family is still as relevant as it was. You know I'm a royalist. Stuff like this. This woman on screen right now is all about her. She's always been about her. She's an utter narcissist. And I don't buy any of the BS that comes out of their mouths, but I think they're so divorced from reality now that they seem to have this PR machine that wants to try and tell us that they are relevant. But I don't think they are relevant, and I don't think we should kowtow at all to either of them. Full stop. Can't have it.
Well, there were also reports over the weekend that Prince William has hired a crisis manager, described as bulletproof sunshine by her old boss. And the Daily Mail report suggests that it's really surrounding Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. But I would say that perhaps he is concerned that Prince Harry will have more of a presence in the UK. And this is him trying to be prepared for whatever that means. I think I told you last week, I really feel like Harry's ultimate objective is to set up a rival court. Does he want to be the next king? I don't think so, but he uses his royal status commercially here in the States. So it's very important that he looks like he has proximity to the British royal family, and faking a royal over in the UK, that's the easiest way to do that.
I think it's really interesting as well, though. We all know that William won't have it. I think that a lot of the briefing about Charles and the reconciliation is Harry desperate to get in with his father before William becomes king. What are the reasons for hiring that woman? I'll tell you what I say over here. The British public have a great sense of getting things right. I've always had great belief in the British public. If you asked a majority of Brits, they don't trust him or her in any way and don't want them here. And I think that's it. Can I also just touch upon the Golden Globes? Because you'll have been up. We slept. You watched this. This extraordinary...
Unfortunately, I did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where we start. Stars spotted leaving mid-show as viewers slam cringe show. Many stars, this is also, donned anti-ice badges, pins at the Golden Globes in tribute to Rennie Good, who was shot and killed in a car by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement officer last week in Minneapolis.
Who was stalking the officers, but let's all just pretend that that's not the truth.
Yeah, let's not pretend that she didn't drive at them. The black and white pins displayed slogans like "Be Good" and "Ice Out." They're all the same, aren't they? Hollywood.
I mean, this is why we're tuning out. Well, Hollywood, it was always meant to be an escape. It was always meant to be where we could turn after our 9 to 5, after we're exhausted because we've read a newspaper that's broken our hearts. And here they are thrusting these headlines back into our faces and reminding us that the world's not that great right now, you know? And I think that as long as they continue to try to make political statements at these idiotic, I'll text you what I want to say right now, but I won't. This is a family program, but you know what I mean? It's like they're all just sitting around.
Yeah.
Patting each other on the back is the G-rated version of what I'm trying to say.
The problem is, Kinson, do text me because I won't read it out. The problem is, because the world is at a point where, and I know I keep bringing it back to cost of living and terror and all these things, because the silent majority across the world have woken up and gone, it's really difficult. They've got less time for these posturing, pampered celebrities who think that by wearing a badge they're going to bring some good to the world. They're not. Nobody's interested. Do your job. Shut the hell up. That's why Ricky Gervais will forever be in my consciousness. When he did the Golden Globes the very last time and he went, listen, none of you lot have a right to judge anybody or make any comments. So if you win an award, I'll make sure I don't do what you did. Come up here, thank your agent, thank your God, and off. And he was spot on. Shut up. You're very privileged, aren't you?
Exactly. And that's why you're seeing the numbers for these types of shows just fall so heavily. I thought there was a cute moment where Leonardo DiCaprio was getting teased and he took it like a champ. And I really, really appreciated that because he could have been a jerk about it. Kylie Jenner and Timothée Chalamet had a tense moment, so everybody's like, "Oh, are they fighting?"
Maybe he's got wind. What? Who cares? I mean, they just didn't snog. I don't know. He didn't wear a Guantanamo Bay outfit. Do I care? The only person that made me laugh was Nikki Glaser. The host, she savagely took a aim at Trump's Justice Department, awarding the DOJ best editing, alluding to the Epstein files. That's funny. That's okay. You can laugh at that. But so many of them, they genuinely think they're important, don't they?
They do, and we're over it. And we are inspired by the types of people like Brendan O'Neill, who I follow him on social media. You know, we have found people that kind of like put their money where their mouth is online. So when you see somebody just post a little black box or put a button on, you're like, get up and do something.
These are the people that post on Instagram when somebody dies, you know, a picture with that person, or the screen goes blank because they're feeling hurt about what's going on with the world. Listen, you live a pampered lifestyle with loads of money in a big house. At least try and be real. That's why I think those shows are ending. Can I ask you quickly about the
Wait, can I really just say quickly, you know, Rob Reiner, I was horrified by what Trump said about Rob Reiner when Rob Reiner passed away. And I don't agree with Rob Reiner's politics, but he is another person that when he didn't like something, he actually did something about it. And he put his money where his mouth it was. He showed up to campaign events and he tried to change the world. And he is the one exception that I can think about as we tear down these people.
Couldn't agree more. So good to have you on. How is life in California? Gavin Newsom heading to be the next president, isn't he?
Yeah, what a joke. But I am excited that Spencer Pratt from MTV's The Hills is running for mayor, and I have sent him some money. So
you sent him some money for what? Are you trying to do a bribe? Are you trying to go out for dinner with him?
No, for his campaign. Because I think it's, I think I'd love to get Karen Bass out of her position. So, never a dull moment here.
We love you. Listen, have a great day. Thank you for coming on. Steve in Cambridge goes, wow, Poppy and Kinsey in one show. Why don't they present and Kyle sods off? There, look at Schofield doing that face. I've said that before. Kinsey, welcome. Thank you so much indeed. God bless you. Thanks for coming on. We love having her on. What is it, 7:37? We're live across the United Kingdom. So much to talk about. The BBC, the Labour Party, Iran, benefits, everything. Morning, Steve.
Labour got into office this time on a manifesto packed with lies, promises that they never intended to keep. Now they've come in and they've started changing our country, getting rid of jury trials, forcing digital ID on the people and all the rest of it. None of this stuff has a democratic mandate. The Tories are just as bad. The Tories promised to bring immigration down to tens of thousands. They had no intention of doing so. They put it up to over 1 million a year. The British people want immigration down. The British people want illegal immigrants deported. The British people want foreigners banned from taking our benefits. We want our streets controlled. We want crime controlled. We want our borders back. Nothing that the British people want are the British people getting. That is not a democracy. This needs to change. Have a good day, my mate.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, my friends. 20 to 8. It's Monday. We're live across the UK on the 12th of January 2026. JK at the controls. As you heard, Ian Collins from 1 and ahead of that, Julia Hartley-Brewer back from 10 o'clock this morning. One of the main news stories that has obviously happened over the last few days is the protests in Iran. Not, to be fair, shown much in the mainstream media. That's probably how they would like it to be. Huge pressure this morning on our leader, Sir Keir Starmer, our leader, to prescribe Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, known as the Terror Army, and to prescribe them as a terrorist organisation. We believe upwards of 500 people have already been killed. The eyes of the world fixed on Iran, and Donald Trump saying that there is a red line, and if they cross it, they will be in trouble. We say a very good morning. It's been a while. Former Defence Select Committee Chair, Tobias Ellwood. Happy New Year, Tobias. How are you?
Happy New Year to you as well. Good to see you.
And you, my friend. I don't want to get into a huge debate about Trump, but I just wanted to make a point about Iran, because I think it's very important that people know this, because, you know, we can have an argument about Greenland and Venezuela. The mad mullahs in Iran have funded every single terror group across the Middle East for years. Hamas, the Houthis, Hezbollah. This is an absolutely appalling regime that destroys everything in its own country and its own people, doesn't have a media, carries out the most horrendous treatment of its people. Is Trump right to say there's a line, and if you cross it, we're going to make sure we do something about it, Tobias?
Well, you're right to say it is complicated. And yes, there's much truth in what you've just said, given Iran's proxy influence across the region for decades. And in truth, none of us, including Donald Trump in his last term of office, have done enough about it to stand up to Iran's influence, destabilizing pressure across the Middle East. He took out General Soleimani, you might remember, back in, I think, January 2020, because of what he was doing and using his Quds force as an influence, but then didn't follow it up. And that's my worry here, as we now say, let's place pressure on the Revolutionary Guard. There's no doubt about it. We are watching something quite incredible here. And there's a strong belief that this regime may indeed topple. This is the biggest show of dissent, and huge courage to those individuals that are on the streets today that are challenging this regime, this 47-year-old theocracy. What we need to be clear of is what then happens next, because if you do something to change the dynamics there by, let's say, a military attack, you could actually gift power to the very people we're talking about, to the military, which are the most organized group, largest and most powerful group in Iran. Nobody wants that. The opposition is completely divided. So we're entering very, very uncharted waters here, recognizing that actually this regime has never been weaker. There's economic hardship, which has triggered all of this, caused by those sanctions. Food inflation is just over the top, and the elites have just looked after themselves, and that's why the people have come out. But the anger is partly inside Iran because those proxy organizations, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, have been supported by Iran, and the Iranian people say, no, look after our country, look after us. And then, of course, we had that 12-day war where the US and Israel pounded Iran, weakening the regime's authority and its legitimacy. So we are at a junction now, and we need to tread very, very carefully in any utility of force, given, as I say, that we could actually gift power to the very organization that we're now discussing whether we should list or not.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. And in fact, you know, one of the criticisms of Trump will be, and America in the past, in terms of their foreign policy, is that they see themselves as the defender of the free world, and they go in and do their stuff. It's the aftermath. It's what happens. We can say that about Venezuela. Couple of things. Support here in London, thousands taking to our streets as these protests gather. And that whole thing about media blackout, because we have to remember that the people of Iran are only told what the state broadcaster wants to tell them. And it's really, really important. As you said, this could be a seminal moment. Can you explain to me at this seminal moment why our Prime Minister is facing pressure? Why? And actually, this isn't just Starmer, this is also the Tories. Why has the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, known as the Terror Army, these people who have murdered people who dare to stand up, why has it not, over many years, Tobias, been prescribed as a terror organisation?
Good question. One of the reasons is simply because nobody has invested time to understand what's going on and stand up to it. It backs up our point before. It's interesting you talk of America, Trump being perhaps the custodians of our global order. I think we both have to agree that that's less the case now, but Trump believes that he should have an interest there. It's important that he follows that up. We also need to recognize that Britain and America don't have a good track record in this country. The reason why the revolution took place back in 1979 is because we propped up a decadent and corrupt leader, the Shah himself. We actually removed a prime minister back in 1953, I think it was, because he became too close. Operation Boot, CIA, MI6, and so forth. So, we need to remember our own history as we look to a country which absolutely has been at the core of destabilizing the entirety of the Middle East, committed to the destruction of Israel. And because we've avoided that big question, we've led to the decades of turmoil, trouble, instability that we've seen unfold on our television screens. So this is a critical moment. I would add something else, and we're not there yet. But you remember what happened in Rwanda, where the world blinked as we saw the scale of atrocities take place. The question is as to how much death and destruction do we need to see this regime enact before we then say enough? We should not allow humanity to operate in this way. We need to step in.
It's really interesting, isn't it? We're talking about people's lives here, and yet we're talking about political timing. What is the right time? Can you do enough? Is it the moment where all sides will come together? The Shah of Iran's son, I know, is speaking out. He's in America, but you're right. There's going to come a point where the world should recoil in horror and say, what is it, 500 deaths, 1,000 deaths, 2,000 deaths? People should not forget, and they will criticise Trump, and I get it, but people should not forget, as I said, that the mad mullahs of Tehran, as I will say forever on this show, have financed terror across the Middle East for as long as anybody can remember. And I think most of the world would agree that if there is a moment, and I don't know what that moment is, it now, is it in a week, is it in a day, when and if there is a moment to rid the world of this horrendous regime, it is right that that happens. Sum it up for me, Tobias, please.
Yes, I think you've done it yourself very well indeed. These are the big questions. But let's recognize that there's less desire, appetite to step in and sort these problems out after we wandered into Iraq and Afghanistan with very poor outcomes. And therefore, understandably, America, other countries are saying, I don't want to go in there. I don't want to own this problem. But often in the case today, if you don't learn from the mistakes of what went wrong in those other places, we need to then think carefully of the consequences of doing nothing today, allowing this regime to survive. It's done this before, back 3 or 4 times over the last 3 decades or so. It's come out. with such force and brutality to quash any uprisings that's taken place. 2009, the presidential elections that were fixed there. 2022, when a very brave female dared to take off, her shawl. So these are the things that are happening today. We can't stand aback and simply criticise it. We do need to step forward and act.
Mate, great to have you on. We've missed you. Thank you so much indeed. Brilliantly summed up. Tobias Selwood there talking about the situation in Iran. We will keep you updated. 12 minutes to 8. I just want to play a text, a voice note from Jane about X. I don't know if you know this. Labour ministers are considering leaving X as a result of the controversy over the platform's AI tool Grok, which is basically allowed users to generate digitally altered pictures of kids with their clothes removed. Musk then posted a picture of Starmer in a bikini. I agree with Nigel Farage. Sorry, I'm nailed on this. Nobody wants to see that disgusting stuff. But free speech is the very essence of what this country is about. Morning, Jane.
Morning, JK. I want a bet on whether Keir Starmer will put a tweet on X at 8:15. After all his criticism and we're going to ban it and we're going to do this and we're going to do that, will he still tweet at 8:15 this morning? Will he use his freedom of speech to tweet out on X after criticising them all weekend and trying to ban them?
Now, what people don't like about X is that it's got this artificial intelligence software which allows you to take a celebrity and change their appearance. And that's why the Prime Minister wants to pull it. But while we've still got X, the team have been busy, and what they've done is they've done something to a photograph of me. Now, I do hope that they've not put me in a bikini. I actually don't know what the image is. Oh, here it is. Right, now listen, what I should have done there is warned you, if you're watching on YouTube, to look away now if you're of a sensitive disposition, because I have been placed in a bikini.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, my friends. 8 minutes to 8. Listen, just a sec. We're going to speak to Ryan Saby from The Sun. I've got to tell you, after 8 o'clock, bit of a surprise for you. New addition to The Breakfast Show, new arm in which we're extending out. A new roving reporter will be announced at 8 o'clock. I'm going to be able to send this person wherever I want. In fact, you are going to be able to send that person wherever you want. All of that after 8 o'clock. If you are just tuning in, you're waking up to an extraordinary day of news. I don't know. I mean, honestly, you could end up thinking this country is on its backside. The BBC, the British Broadcasting Company, have spent £63 million on taxes whilst wanting to increase your licence fee. Doesn't make sense, does it? The Metropolitan Police say homicides down in London. Is it? Right. You've employed 300 people, 2 rapists, most of them criminals, and on Friday night, yet more anti-Semitism. You stood and watched pro-Palestinians attack an Israeli restaurant and did absolutely zilch. If you want further proof there's anti-Semitism in the police, look at the West Midlands. Craig Guilford, the chief constable, still there, despite banning the Israeli football team's fans. It turns out now that this is just kowtowing to the Muslim community. But perhaps the story that's really got you going this morning is the Bulgarian woman. She was jailed as part of a conspiracy to defraud you, the British taxpayer, of £54 million worth of benefit. She only got 3 years, did 18 months. She's out. You should be happy to know she's back in London in a rented a house. and is getting £1,300 a month in universal credit that you're paying for. We say a very good morning. I know, it's unbelievable. 87222, text the usual voice notes, 0344 499 1000. We say a very good morning to the amazing Deputy Political Editor of The Sun, who's very good at karaoke. Ryan Saby, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Is it true about the karaoke rumour I've heard, Saby?
I sing occasionally. Has to be a big occasion, has to be the right song. But, yeah, no, I do like it.
We've heard. Welcome to the show, my friend. We'll talk about the excellent Rod Liddle column in The Sun. I just love your response to this. I mean, the BBC, front page of The Sun today, £63 million on taxes, whilst working under the assumption that they should be able to increase our licence fee. It's unbelievable, isn't it? What a bad optic that is.
Yeah, no, I was speaking to MPs around on this last night, and the sort of general sort of admission from them was, this is a lot of money. I mean, you might say, well, the amount the BBC gets is £3 billion, and this is a drop in the ocean. However, £50 million, £60 million on taxes over the space of 5 years is a big sum. And they were saying, look, you've got to look after the money that they do get. They need to take care of the money they do get. Charter renewal is up for in the next year or so. So they have to watch where they go. And I think stories like this, and if they are perceived or they seen as wasteful of licence fee money, there will be big questions about the funding model for the BBC in the coming years. Will it be part subscription? Will it be part as it is now, where you pay your money and you get a certain news service, but anything extra you have to pay for? I think more and more stories like this lead you to think that they may have to move in some sort of subscription service because the public won't put up with it.
Please God they do. Page 10 today, Rod Liddle, fantastic, will be on the show later in the week. His column, Cut the Welfare, Spend on Warfare. When you consider what's going on in Iran, the Middle East in general, Russia, Ukraine, Venezuela, wherever else, the one thing that I've always believed is that successive governments, not this government, many before, have really screwed up by cutting defence. You know, it's all, since Theresa May and beyond, let's just cut defence. Somebody told me the other day that more illegal migrants have come into this country in 18 months than is in the entirety of our armed forces. Our welfare budget is spiralling out of control. We need to be harsh on that and spend it on defending this nation, don't we, Ryan?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And I think this is going to be the big question that this government, the next future governments are going to have to grapple with. This government, the Labour government, actually gave it a go, but they decided to row back at the last minute.
$5 billion, and they ended up kowtowing. $5 billion doesn't scratch the sides. Have you seen the story about the Bulgarian woman this morning? £54 million. She was part of a conspiracy. She gets 3 years, serves 18 months, and is back on universal credit in London. You're just taking the mickey out of all the people who pay tax or the welfare system that's so warped.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And I think that you compare the defence budget, £62 billion, I think it is, for this year. You look at the overall social security budget, £300 billion. One thing I will say, Jeremy, I think one thing that will happen is you look at the state pension and the triple lock. I don't think this government's going to tackle it in this parliament, but in the next parliament, I think all parties got to have a big sort of conversation about, does it move down to a double lock? I know lots of people won't like it, but it does seem like that is the direction of travel. Kemi Badenoch has sort of hinted at there could be some kind of movement in the future. I think the Labour government, you speak to them privately, they're saying the same thing. So we have to try and bring that welfare budget down somehow, and the money just has to go to defence. When issues of Greenland, Ukraine, if we're meant to send some sort of peacekeeping troop or sort of troops to Ukraine, how long could we actually? How could they, sustainably be there before we run out of troops?
It's about priorities, mate. It's about priorities, though, isn't it? We're an island. We're supposed to be able to defend ourselves. We become the laughing stock. Just quickly, I haven't got an awful lot of time. Big news, obviously, in Iran. Protests in London over the weekend, and huge pressure this morning on Keir Starmer to prescribe finally Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which we know is a terror army. Why have successive governments, including this one, not done the right thing and said this is a terrorist organisation that persecutes a regime?
Yeah, this comes up all the time. Should it get prescribed or not? Now, I think it is prescribed in America. It's not here. And I just get the impression that that both countries, there maybe want to be a line of communication into people in and around the organisation. I don't know, but there seems to be an underlying reason why the British government just won't prescribe it. They talk a good game, the backbenchers, but when it actually gets to the higher echelons of government, it seems to go very, very quiet and nothing actually happens. I expect a bit of noise around this today and then it to die down again, because it just feels like, unless the regime is overthrown, let's see. But I think at the moment, as things stand, nothing like that seems to happen, just as it has many times before.
There he is, the king of karaoke, the excellent Ryan Sabley, deputy political editor of The Sun. Thank you, my friend. It's almost 8 o'clock. We're live across the United Kingdom. Talk Breakfast is for you. 0344 499 1000 for your voice notes. You can text the show as ever, 87222. Start your message with the word talk. And next, the identity of the Jeremy Carr Breakfast Show's brand new roving reporter. I'm going to send this person anywhere you want. This person can come to your house, to your community. We are going to get to the root cause of why Britain is on its arse and do something about it. Before all of that, stand by. News at 8 is next on Talk.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
A very good morning, just gone 8 o'clock. I'm a happy man in the last 5 minutes because I found my earpiece and can actually hear what's going on. Welcome to Monday, the 12th of January. We're live across the UK on the station for working Brits, for the alarm clock Brits, the people that get up and working for you. Your chance to come here and have your say about anything that's going on. You're waking up to some extraordinary news. I mean, I really don't know where to start. The BBC, 63 million quid on taxes whilst wanting to increase your licence fee and having a biased approach to almost everything they report. The Met Police being criticised quite rightly for standing by whilst a Jewish restaurant in London on Friday was attacked by pro-Palestinian activists. The Met Police's boss, Sir Mark Rowley, says, well, we were doing our job, and by the way, murders are down in the capital. Really? What about recruitment, Mark? 300 rapists, murderers, all sorts of people have managed to find their way into the Met Police. I'd say your force is on its backside and you should be doing something about it. My favourite story this morning centres on the Bulgarian woman. If you're just tuning in, her name is... I don't know what her name is, but because I can't say it. She basically was sent to jail for 3 years. This is 3 years. This is less than Lucy Connolly. She was sent for 3 years for embezzling 54 million with her fellow conspirators out of the benefit system. Can I repeat that? 54 million. We put her in jail for 3 years, but she got depressed. She's out after 18 months. She got so depressed she can't work. She's back in her London house paid for by us on £1,300 a month universal credit. It beggars bloody belief. And if you thought your Monday couldn't get worse, Meghan Markle could be coming back to the United Kingdom. It's 4 minutes past 8. We'd love you to be involved. 0344 499 1000 for your voice notes. Morning, Andy.
Good morning, Jeremy. Just a little ditty for you about the BBC and taxis. Several years ago, about 2008, I used to work as a taxi driver, and we had a contract with the BBC. A regular job that we had was a local presenter, still on the TV now, I won't mention his name, but jolly nice chap, TV radio presenter. And we'd pick him up from his home, take him to the studios, and then take him back when he'd finished, and then back again for the later news and whatever. Every time you used to give him a little docket, and he'd sign it, and you put your job in it, and you throw it in the box at the end of the week, and you get paid. But every time he did that, he'd say, give us another one, and he'd write you another one out. So I think the job was like £8.50, so then he'd write another one out and say, that's for you. So we used to get, and he'd sign it. So we used to get a free ride out of that every time, twice a day. If you did, it could soon add up, and there was plenty of drivers 7 days a week doing that. So that's how flippant they were with the taxi fares back then. They're probably still the same, clearly are. Anyway, have a good day.
Taxi driver, I don't blame them for having a go, but the BBC now, ladies and gentlemen, many people have been saying a roving reporter. How are you going to get a roving reporter? The idea is very simple. I wanted somebody that could have the ability, the tenacity to go out there with a camera crew and come to areas across the UK that you want that person to come to. And we have scoured the globe, and then we thought, my God, this person's right under my nose. Ladies and gentlemen, The Breakfast Show's new roving reporter, Samara Gill's in the building.
Hello. I'm so excited. I think that this is fantastic.
You're a week late, love.
Well, there's that, but I did come from Australia, so it took about a week to get here via
Did it?
yeah.
Did you come on a boat?
Well, no, I did not actually. Thank goodness. Wouldn't do that to you guys. But you've got enough people coming over your shores.
Listen, I've got so many ideas about this, but just explain to people in your words how you see your role, because this, for me, is getting news out to where it matters, locally across the United Kingdom, because you'll go anywhere, love, won't you?
I will go anywhere, and you know that, Jeremy. Look, the thing is, about the breakfast show specifically, I don't know any breakfast show in the country that will actually get out of its Westminster bubble and go and get stories that no one is talking about. And that's really going to be my aim, because at the moment, we're in really dire times here. We have got a Prime Minister who's been cancelling elections, he's been eroding the right to jury trials, he's been attempting to ban X, which is very much the only thing kind of keeping free speech alive at the moment. So I think it's more important now than ever to have someone who is out there collecting stories that actually matter. Because the thing is, you know, in this studio, there's only so much we can do. There's only so many people we can talk to. And I've listened to over 10,000 hours probably of phone calls of our lovely viewers. And I just hope that we can get out there and tell that story. And I think it's important at the moment.
I mean, one of the stories today that I just think straight away I want to send you to, I mean, the Metropolitan... Can I just play this footage for people who can't believe that this is happening? On Friday night, a family-run restaurant in Notting Hill, the Misnan restaurant, which has been going for 20 years. People are eating their food and enjoying their lives, and this pro-Palestinian... Let's put the sound up. Just listen to what was being said.
Disgrace, and show you what Zionism is really about. Racism, imperialism, and genocide. And we've been here because local residents came to us and asked us to join them.
Now, you know as well as I do, Samara, the police basically stood by whilst that happened. The boss said, officers are present as part of a policing plan to ensure people can exercise their right to protest peacefully. But if a man with an Israeli flag walks into a pro-Palestinian march, he gets handled to the ground, the stuff gets ripped off and he probably gets arrested. I believe anti-Semitism. I'd love you to go to that restaurant and find out how that family are responding.
I'm going straight after this, yeah. I'm going to go talk to them.
It doesn't make sense to me, the bias that we have in this country about that. You got a couple of other ideas as well.
Well, it's also very hypocritical, because where are these protesters outside the Iranian embassy when they're talking about free Palestine? How about free Iran from its hell-bent, sort of very, very extreme Islamist regime? It's hilarious how these lefties have no time for democracy in Iran, but want to care about the Hamas leaders and what they have to do. I mean, it's off the scale, and I am going to go there and actually find out what happened, because we can't have this in the country, this anti-Semitism. I've just come from Australia, where we're dealing with the terrorist attack. All these different protests are just 1 degree away from that, and that's half the issue. But I've got a few things planned. I'm going to talk to this little girl called Bella in Hillingdon. Now, the Hillingdon community is at the forefront of the immigration crisis because they've got 3 migrant hotels that are basically surrounding this primary school. Bella hasn't gone to school in multiple months. I did a small interview with her. It received 72 million views because her words, they pierced through all the crap that everyone's putting around.
How old is she?
She's 12 years old, and she doesn't feel safe. She doesn't feel safe enough to walk to school. This is a British child. So this is what's actually going on.
She's Jewish?
She's not Jewish, but she's scared because the asylum seekers are kind of going around her school. They're loitering. We've got videos of them smoking outside, having a look through the little the fence, and that community is genuinely on the forefront of this crisis. And it's always the working class that gets put sort of in the firing line.
You never see those hotels, do you? You never see those hotels in you know, leafy suburbs, do you? That's a great story to do, to get hers. I heard one that we're going to... I'm not going to give out details, but somebody who works on this station has a flat in London in Canary Wharf, and the entire place is overrun with migrants, breaking in, leaving rubbish, smoking, loitering and stuff. We might send you... You're going to be all over the place. You got another one as well, haven't you?
Yes, well, I've got Dorian Pooker. I've actually just spoken to him late last week. He's an illegal migrant. He's actually invited me out on a date.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Am I paying for you to date an illegal migrant? That wasn't part of the deal, was it?
Look, he's one of the worst cases. He's riled everyone up. So he's driving around in a $300,000 or pound Rolls Royce, and it's not subtle. He's broken into the country multiple times, both on a lorry and a boat. This guy is not a good character.
Does he make his money?
Well, he burgles houses, yeah.
Sorry, you've been asked out for lunch or dinner with a man who's broken into this country 3 times. He's that switched on, he's driving a Rolls Royce, he's made millions, and he thinks you're just a nice lady who's going to have dinner with him.
Well, I'm pretty desperate, Jeremy.
Does he know you're going to? Does he know you're going to destroy him or what?
You know what? I'm just interested. I want to go. I'm going to go on a day in the life of an illegal migrant, and I'm going to figure out what's actually going on, because these people are living the life of Riley, while you, the alarm clock generation, as Jeremy rightly says, gets up, you go and pay your taxes so he can drive around in his Rolls Royce. He's at the epicenter of this problem.
Do you think that you can identify him because as an Australian you broke into this country illegally?
Well, there's that. I mean, do we have to talk about the entry? It is very controversial.
On a serious note, for people listening, Samara will be part of this show from now on, but it is down. It's not just down to her; it's down to you. And I do mean this. I'm thinking Crowborough. I'm thinking Epping. Yep. I'm thinking all over it. It doesn't have to be near to London. It can be anywhere across the United Kingdom. I'm thinking the bins in Birmingham. I'm thinking about riots. I'm thinking about trade unions. Sorry, what was that, Christian? Absolutely. Farmers, great shout. Farmers. If you're a farmer in Wales, Scotland, wherever, and your livelihood is being stripped to the bone by this government, or your electricity bills, wherever you are, Samara will come to you. I don't know, you got your own private jet probably, or helicopter now? Or...
Yeah, I've got my own chauffeur. It's going to be great. No, I'm joking. I'll be on the train like everyone else, but I'm really keen to talk to
my driver,
everyone.
Said I'll drive her anywhere. I bet you will.
All right, Jeremy. How the other half do?
Well, yeah, I have been on it a long time. But on a serious note, I genuinely think this is very different, and I like what you said at the beginning, because it's there's only so much you can do. You can sit, you take voice notes, you take calls, whatever. I want communities, and I want people who listen to this show to say, do you know what? I'm done with the potholes on my road. I'm done as a farmer with what this government's done to my business. Small businesses, there you are, the length and breadth of Britain, NI increases, workers' rights, the minimum wage. You run a restaurant, or corner shops. You run a shop. Shoplifting is relevant. Samara will come. Listen, she'll film all of that. You're up for this, aren't you?
I'm massively up for it, and I just don't think anyone's doing it. So I really, really am excited to at least shine some light on this. I mean, sunlight is the best disinfectant. See, I'm still jet lagged. I hopped off the plane yesterday, and I'm like, oh. But yeah, I do.
Sunshine is the best disinfectant.
It is. It is. I mean, we haven't...
Just because you've seen the sun and you've been in Australia, we've been in the middle of a bloody storm. So seriously, now, you can get in touch with us. We were going to give you an email address, but I've completely vetoed it for reasons I'm not going... Well, it's ridiculous.
Oh, OK.
It's named after something that doesn't exist anymore. We're going to create a brand new email address, but you can text right now to The Breakfast Show, 87222. Start your messages with the word talk. You can, of course, ring and speak to the team. We're on Monday to Thursday from 6 till 10. Samara Gill will go where... It doesn't sound right, does it? She'll go wherever. Well, she's going out for dinner with an illegal migrant who's got a Rolls Royce. It's a great start. But today I want to send you to that Jewish restaurant. You know those pro-Palestinians said the local community have asked us to come here. How come the restaurant survived for years then? I don't believe that at all.
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. The local community does not want these people unless it's some sort of India and Mia, sort of a child of someone who lives in Notting Hill, a privileged person who's come down from whatever Leeds University to go and protest outside a Jewish restaurant for something they know nothing about. I mean, it's really, really terrible when the police are sort of standing by. And you're right, as you said earlier, if it was a St. George's flag or it was a Star of David, Israeli flag, you know, the police would be there to wrap it up. So I think there is two-tier policing that is going on. I want to get to the bottom of this because I think that if we let stuff like this slide within communities, then it's very easy to get to the next degree of violence towards Jewish people. And it's something that we should have a zero tolerance policy towards.
I couldn't agree more. We were trying to think of a name of a feature. Robert Jenrick comes on, we call that Ring Rob. You can't say call Samara. Signal Samara.
Oh, I like that.
Send Samara. You see, Mark the Button is more than a man whose hair is cut by the council. Do you see? Listen, send Samara.
Send Samara.
Where am I going to send you? Can I just ask your opinion on my favourite story in the history of doing this station for 3 years? Just give me 2 minutes. Is that all right, Christian? Have you heard that the UK government has settled out of court? See, there's this bloke called Abu Sabuyada. I hope I've got that wrong. Genuinely hope I've got it wrong because I don't give a toss. This man was sent to jail for terror, being involved in the world of terror, to Guantanamo Bay between 2002 and 2006. Let's just call him Abu. That's what I'm going to call him. Abu's sent to jail because he's part of a terror group, right? Now, everybody knows that Guantanamo Bay probably wasn't the nicest place in the world. There is an argument that says that if you are intent on blowing people up, perhaps you shouldn't be afforded a nice lifestyle. But let's not get into that debate. Whilst the CIA, nearly 20 years ago, were interviewing this man, they asked for some advice in an email from MI5 and MI6 who said, well, maybe you could try this, maybe you could try that. This bloke not only gets out of Guantanamo Bay, minus the boiler suit that's orange, he then gets himself a left-wing human rights lawyer, threatens to sue the British government for being complicit in his depressing, jailing.
Yeah.
And we've paid a substantial amount of money out of court, millions. So you actually, could I just point this out, he's never set foot in this country. So not only can you screw the benefit system by coming into this country, you can get millions out of us when you haven't even been here in the first place.
Well, it reminds me so much. I mean, they know, by the way, they go to the UK because they know we're soft touch. The human rights lawyer would have gone, no, you'll be able to get money out of the UK. Maybe don't try the US, especially not at the moment because they've actually got a strong man in power. But it reminds me so much of that case where, you know, just last week where Keir Starmer was congratulating the release of that freedom fighter who had never stepped foot in the UK, yet was granted citizenship. We continue to do this, and we look at the human rights element of it all, but we're not looking at the human rights of the British people that are actually forced to pay up for this terrorist. I mean, it's quite ridiculous. We also didn't have much to do with Guantanamo Bay. So I just think that he's extorting the UK government because he knows that we will absolutely...
He's done it. And it sends out a message that you can make millions from a government that won't look after its own people. You can commit benefit fraud. The state broadcaster can screw us. And I'm not into all that sort of stuff. And yet hard-working Brits trying to do their everyday work. You've made a response already. Joanna in Salisbury. Samara should keep the film rolling in the trains when she travels, show how bad our system is. Morning, Jez. This is Jay in London. Great to see Samara is going to be reporting across the country with real local issues direct from the scene of the crimes. Please send her along to the garages with Category 1 hazards I lived in. Ooh. Keep up the brilliant right-wing common sense. I call it common sense, but there we go. We'll do that. Neil in West Midlands. I think somewhat moved by the fact that you're going out with an illegal migrant. Misen Restaurant, did you say? I will be booking and giving them their custom immediately. Would Samara like to come with me? Oh, here we go again. But just to repeat what I said, you will go anywhere. Yeah. You are happy to look at any local issue, any issue at all that people are affected by in the next few months, yeah?
Absolutely. I think we really need to zone in on individual people so that we can tell the broader story, and no one's doing that apart from you, Jeremy, because you're very smart and switched on and you're sending me everywhere. So I think it is going to be great, and we're going to find out who the system is actually working for. I mean,
There's a
who is the
bloke
system
earlier, by
working
the way, who wanted to take Poppy skiing. He says, I'll extend my ski offer to Samara as well. I'll take them both for a week in the Alps. You're missing the point, Neil. We're trying to deal with issues here that matter to the UK. Samara, an amazing addition. Get hold of us. Tell us what you want her to do. We will do that. It's 8:20. Morning, Paula.
All of these people who are suing the British government, well, the British taxpayer, using no doubt legal aid and all of our best liberal lefty lawyers in the land, why don't all of the people who have had some harm visited upon them by illegal immigrants, you know, a family member murdered or raped or all of the other unspeakable things that happen, why don't they all club together and bring a class action using legal aid and the ECHR against our government to say the government have not kept them safe, have not secured our borders, and therefore we're going to sue and see what happens. Thanks, Jeremy. Paula in Liverpool.
The system is working as planned. Look at all the posts going up on there. All the mad leftists who hate Elon Musk and want X shutting down are all using them. Of course, we've got to stop child pornography. It's sick. I mean, look, it's AI, right? It's gross. It's horrible. But if he really wanted to stop sexual abuses, well, he might start with controlling our borders. Anyway, mark my words. The PSYOP, the system is working as intended. Don't trust Starmer. He's gaslighting.
It's the UK on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, my friends. 8:24. It's Monday. We're live across the UK, and your host is in trouble from the wife. No! Everyone has their bins out. We missed it, FFS. You got it wrong, Kyle. Oh, all right, then. I'm sorry. Tip for me later. Morning to my beautiful children. Oliver's off to school. Iris has now got a big smile on her face, and Daddy will be home later. Love you all loads. What is it? It's Monday. We're live across the UK. My God, thank you for your response to our new, I'm not going to call it feature, Samara Gill, part of The Breakfast Show, but more than anything, and I think nobody else is doing this, we are going to be sending Samara Gill, somebody who is intrepid, I have to say, out and about. I don't care where your story is in the United Kingdom. I don't care what it's about. It might be about a farm, a business, your community, about your bins, about potholes, about something that's going on, crime, whatever, OK? Illegal migrants. She will come to you with a camera crew and report that story across the United Kingdom. Mervyn Wiltshire says, why don't we call it Go Gill? Brilliant. Merv, get a job. Mark in Selby, I like this. He says, it's risky, but I'd like to send Samara up to Aston Villa and get her to find out the truth as to why that football match was abandoned. I believe it's anti-Semitic. Hello to Rob in Broadway. He lives in the town where both my parents lived, although, of course, they don't live there anymore because they're dead. But thank you very much indeed. So your suggestions for Samara, she's joined the Breakfast Show. We're delighted to have her, more than delighted, and we're going to send her out and about to you. Wherever you wanted to come, whatever story you wanted to look into, we're delighted. We'll say good morning on the phones in Sussex. Joanne, you're on Talk Breakfast. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all nice and wide awake.
Great. Well, I've been up since 4, so I should be. What you got for me, Jo?
I work in security. And we used to have we always have the standard joke. You always know when a police officer has come to join security because you're constantly on the back to do the job. They were moaning about having to fill out reports, moaning about having to walk all around the yard. Every little thing, moan, moan, moan.
The police are under real pressure, certainly the Met Police and other forces as well, about recruitment, about the way they treat certain parts of our society, maybe Jewish people, as against Palestinian protesters. Do you think the respect for the police has long gone? Do you think it's recoverable?
Oh, that is a good question.
That's what I'm paid to do.
Definitely gone, because everybody now, as soon as they see a police officer, they get the phone out and they're filming them.
Yeah, that's a true point. I've seen that on social media. Darling, thank you very much indeed. Do you have a story that we can send Samara to your local area for?
I have at a later date. I'm just finishing off doing some further research, but I've got a very good one for you.
Jesus, all right then, we'll look forward to hearing from you. 8:26. Thank you to Joanne in Sussex. So please, wherever you are in the UK, if you want Samara Gill to come to you, just phone us, text us, whatever. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Morning, Jeremy. This is Mark from Essex. Just on your way down to Trafalgar Square to join the protest for all the young people that are sacrificing their lives against the regime in Iran. There's no one here at the moment, but I'm sure they'll be joining us soon. I'll keep you updated. Cheers, mate.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed, Mark. Slightly flippant. Now, there's stories. We talk local stories. There's a story that I really want to do. We're going to say a very good morning. Basically, a map launched by the government to name and shame local authorities which are failing to fix potholes has revealed... This is not a lie. This is a fact. This is very shocking. Do you think that the worst councils for potholes are Conservative councils, Reform councils, Liberal Democratic councils, Green councils or Labour councils? Shock horror. Local authorities who fail to fix potholes in the majority are Labour-run councils. They're the worst offenders. The new traffic light rating system grades town halls on road conditions as well as how effectively they're spending maintenance funding. Embarrassingly, it ranks London's Labour-run Greenwich Council home to the PM's closest aide, Abina Opong-Asari, I probably got that wrong, and local government minister Matthew Pennycook. Is it cock or cook? He's a cook, not a cock. I didn't actually mean that the way it's come out. As one of the worst for pothole repairs on this station, whenever we talk about the scourge that is a pothole, Mr. Pothole himself, Mark Morell, a.k.a. Mr. Pothole, makes an appearance. How are you, Marky? You all right?
Not too bad. Bit busy yesterday when the traffic light system hit the headlines, and yeah, I'm a bit dubious about it. Is it a stunt? Because I'll give you a couple of examples, Jerry.
A stunt by who?
Sorry?
A stunt by who?
Well, Department of Transport, because it's National Pothole Day on Thursday, so they probably want to highlight the issues and trying to prove that they're doing something, except spending the money, what they need to resurface our roads. But getting back to the actual system, I'm a bit dubious of some of the results, because West Northamptonshire, where I live, was rated as a red. Yeah, they've got a massive problem. So therefore their performance is not particularly good, but the neighbouring county of Oxfordshire is amber. And I can tell you from my experience and knowledge and my followers that they're just as bad as each other. And now Essex are green. Now I can tell you I did a Freedom of Information request to them just over a year ago. They're sitting with a £1 billion backlog on road maintenance. They need £1 billion to bring their roads up to a good standard. So it was interesting over the social media yesterday, the response from people in Essex and places like Darlington who believe it's just lies because they cannot believe what they're living with and they're seeing day in, day out. Proves that they're any better than anybody else.
I went through a pothole the other day. Can I just say, can you get Samara back in? I've had a wonderful idea straight away. Can you get her back in? Mark, on a serious note, I mean, to me, I mean, I drove through one the other day that I really didn't see, and that was actually out in the New Forest. They're everywhere, and I know we make a joke about it, but they are symptomatic of what's wrong, I think, with this country, that we don't seem to deal with the things that matter, and we seem to spend money. I mean, this morning we've got stories of Bulgarian fraudsters taking £50 54 million in benefits, and people who've never set foot in this country getting, you know, huge payouts because we apparently upset them by helping their prosecutors in another country. But we don't ever spend the money on the things that matter. The serious point about potholes is that it ruins people's cars. They then lose money. They have to pay, whether or not it's under insurance, they have to pay the initial amount. We know all of that. Why are successive governments, in your mind, right, incapable of tackling something that is the scourge of 17, nearly 20 million people who drive cars in this country? It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't make sense at all. I mean, we're sitting with a £17 billion backlog in carriageway maintenance in England and Wales, and it's costing, it's reported, £14.4 billion to the UK economy for having badly maintained roads. And not only motorists damage, cyclists who lose their lives or seriously injured, or motorcyclists, similar thing, because of badly maintained roads. I mean, more recently, I've been looking at pothole protection insurance, so it doesn't affect your main policy. And there are some
specific can't believe I'm saying this. Pothole protection insurance, is that a fact? Is that a thing?
Yeah, for 87 pence a week, you can insure your vehicle for up to £2,000 worth of damage. You haven't got all the arduous thing of taking on the council. It's a £50 excess, but if the insurance company win against the council, you get your £50 back.
That's a great idea. That is. I have a mate who made an absolute fortune years ago setting up an insurance company that specifically dealt with insurance for learner drivers. Right. This is a great idea. There would be an argument for that to I mean, 40 quid a year? That's money well spent, isn't it?
It is. I mean, no one wants to pay extra money, but when you think, you know, if I had some people contact me over Christmas, they did two wheels, nearly £2,000 worth of damage.
Yeah, listen, every time I let my wife in the car, there's damage to the wheels. Mark, do me a favour. National Pothole Day on Thursday. How do you celebrate National Pothole Day as Mr. Pothole? Do you go on a tour of potholes, and what do you do?
Well, normally I've done big stunts, you know, where I've taken tanks around Parliament Square.
Sorry, what did you say?
I said normally I've done big stunts. I took a orange tank round Parliament Square and tried to catch Boris, but unfortunately you can't make this up, Jeremy. We were delayed getting down there on the Westway because of a pothole.
I love it.
I was doing an interview with Julia Hartley-Brewer at the time, so I couldn't get off to photograph the policeman standing by it, but. So, no, I have had to retire to somewhat. I'm still commenting and watching, but I can't do what I used to do because my wife's disabled and I'm her main carer now. So,
well, let me tell you, you do an amazing job. And that piece of information about an insurance policy, 87p a week, there's a £50 excess. It's specific insurance that you can get that deals with up to £2,000 worth of damage to your car. Mark Morell, Mr. Pothole, thank you very much indeed. Samara Gill, I've dragged you back in, right? Get Gill is the name of it. But now I know what she's doing Thursday. It's National Pothole Day.
Yeah.
I need you to find the biggest pothole. Let's ask people in your area, where is areas across the UK the worst potholes? I once saw a reporter standing in a pothole, was up to his knees. Literally.
That's a sinkhole at that point, no?
Sinkholes if you disappear. That's what we want Keir Starmer to go into, isn't it? A sinkhole. But we think, don't you? This is a great idea, Kristen.
Yeah,
National
absolutely.
Pothole Day. You and your Burberry, with your barber, with your wellies, stood in a hole somewhere. Tell us now on text.
I'm into that.
I've heard. On your text number 87222, where in the UK is the worst place for potholes? Samara Gill will turn up with a camera crew, right, a cement mixer and a shovel.
Yeah, I will. And I'll probably draw a St George's Cross flag in it, because apparently that's the way to get your potholes fixed. I don't endorse anyone going and doing that.
Tell me this story, because I remember this. What's that?
I mean, people were genuinely getting so fed up with some of the potholes that they were putting St George's Cross flags in them, sort of spray painting them. And, 15 minutes and people have come to cover it up. That's the state of this country. And you know what? Do you know how much it is if you get a puncture from a pothole? 590 quid. That's the estimate. For the damages.
For any tyre?
No, for if your car got damaged by it. That's
And actually, on a serious note, I'm going to sound like a right whatever. It's not just the wheel, it's the chassis. These things destroy... I mean, my daughter's got a Mini, right, and I'm pottering along the other day.
Yeah.
Nearly half the car went down this pothole, and of course I drove it, so I've got to buy the new tyre. But it's true. They're an absolute bloody disgrace. We're giving them money away left, right and centre, and we cannot do what's right by our roads. So you see, it's a busy week already. Maizen Israeli restaurant today. Yep. I can't wait to see Samara Gill in a pothole. If you are just tuning in, Samara Gill is the new addition to the Breakfast Show. She's going to be our roving reporter, and I make this guarantee to you. Get Gill. I love it. Can we think of anything else? Summon Samara.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that sounds a bit
Samara.
like, I'm in legal turmoil. That would be
What's the top text? What? Hold on a second. Top text. I'm going to go to the top here. How about send our Samara? SOS.
Oh, yeah, I like
See?
that. Okay, that's perfect. We got to stick
SOS,
with it.
send our Samara. But wherever you are in the UK, National Pothole Day Thursday, the restaurant today in London. Let me just repeat one final time. Anything that matters to you, as an individual, as a family, as a community, anything that you think needs highlighting, burglary, potholes, crime, illegal migrants, the unfairness of the local authority. There was a story in the paper today, £115,000 spent on 6 councils taking down flags, that sort of thing. The things that matter to you in the United Kingdom, SOS, send our Samara, 87222. We will see you in a bit, Samara. You're very kind. We say good morning to Alex.
Morning, Jeremy. Excellent show as ever. This is Alex here from Epsom. The TV licence fee. Now, ever since 2016, the goalposts were widened so that it meant that no live television channel anywhere in the UK is allowed to be watched without a licence fee. Now, I think it's about time that you lot should gang together and push back against that, because it means that us, the licence fee payers, or you and your audience, are being dictated to by that licence fee as to whether or not you're allowed to watch a television channel that doesn't benefit a single penny from that licence fee. Furthermore, Freeview. Look at Freeview. Why is it called Freeview still? Because it's clearly not free to watch it anymore, because you need it, because they're also classed as live television programmes. You need a licence fee to watch them. So they need to rename Freeview as well. But I think on a serious note, all you commercial channels should be starting to push back against the government to get the legislation reversed, because you're being dictated to who can and cannot watch your station based on a licence fee that you don't receive a single penny from. Anyway, this is Alex from Epsom. Hope this gets played out. Thanks very much, mate.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back to Breakfast, 22 minutes to 9 o'clock. We're live across the UK. It's Talks, the home of common sense and free speech. We want your calls, your texts and whatever. You can catch the best of the show on the podcast later. And Samara Gill, our new roving reporter, wherever you want her to come in the UK, she'll be there. She'll be down a pothole, up a drain. I don't know where she'll be. She'll be anywhere that you want her to be. SOS. Send our Samara. I'm liking that. This morning, actually yesterday I read this story and I got hold of Christian straight away, because this is the sort of thing that drives me insane. I think alarm clock Brits would agree with me. Labour's obsessive drive towards net zero could cost Britons, just think about this again, £4.5 trillion. That's £5,500 billion, official estimates suggest. Critics say the extraordinary mounting costs for measures such as wind farms, solar panels, green heating system and upgrade to roads and railways are much higher than previously thought. This is, of course, Ed Miliband. This is the altar on which he has staked almost everything. £4.5 trillion. The writer and co-founder of Climate Debate UK will not help me make sense of this. He will agree with me that this is complete bloody madness. Ben Pyle, good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. You're absolutely right. It's complete and total, utter madness. But I just want to correct the story there, because it says this is Labour's obsession. This has been Parliament's obsession. This has been nearly the whole of Westminster's obsession for the whole of this century so far, and going back quite a lot into the 1990s as well. So they have all committed to this agenda. They're committed to the international organizations, the intergovernmental organizations like the UN, and of course the EU championed it as well. And they've been unswerving in their commitment to that. And that has meant not representing the public's interest, not asking the public whether they support this radical agenda that, you know, for £4.5 trillion, let's be frank about it, implies a vast reorganization of our economy, if not the entire world's economy, if the rest of the world follows us. And that's a huge amount of economic harm that's going to be done to every single business, to every single home, and to every young person's future. Which is and there's never been a conversation between Westminster and the rest of the country about this agenda. We even see the King now putting the whole weight of his political resources and his own reputation, unlike Ed Miliband's. So this is the problem of the entire British political establishment and the entire British political class, extending into newspapers, academia, civil society organisations, and even trade unions. Somehow, all of these parts of society that do not include the general public as such have all, where they've been membership organisations, they've been acting against their own memberships in the case of the unions that have got behind this agenda.
Can I just jump in for a second? Because you're far more switched on. You know, the Climate Debate UK, I salute you. I salute anybody that's talking common sense. So I've got a theory about this. I spent the weekend talking about this, and no reason to explain why, but I did. I talked about this repeatedly. So I think that what really does my head in about these net zero zealots is they'll say everybody's concerned about the climate. If you ask somebody, are you concerned about the climate? I suspect that 70% would say, yes, I am. I think if you said to 70%, the same 70%, we are bankrupt. This isn't posturing. We cannot afford the interest on the debts that we've got. And we are talking about a bunch of politicians. There's Khan doing his bit. God. Miliband, the King, whoever it is, who seem to think that bankrupting Britain still further to the tune of £4.5 trillion is somehow, I don't know, the right thing to do. Now, it might be virtuous, and it might well be that in 5,000 years it's the right thing to do, and I'm probably going to be slaughtered. I don't give a toss about 5,000 years. I'm really sorry if that doesn't sit with people. I'll tell you what I care about. I care about the things that are happening right now. I care about welfare being given to the wrong people so that the right people are suffering. I care about the Jewish community whose lives are being blighted because our police can't do things correctly. I care about old people not having heated homes, kids who can't get jobs. Sorry, young businesses who are being slaughtered by NI increases and the fact that workers' rights are going through the roof and the government doesn't support them. I care about what's happening in terms of this country and illegal migration. I don't understand how any of these idiots can comprehend that amount of money if they open their eyes from their privileged position and looked at what the hell's going on in this country. It makes sense to me, man. None.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I mean, the fact of the matter is 4.5 trillion is probably an underestimate by about 2 to 3 times. And when those bills start coming in, as we get towards 2050, there isn't going to be the money for anything, quite frankly. And it's not just that there's going to be that bill, it's that as we get towards that bill, all of the disposable income that we have for things, well, not just the nice things, for even for essentials, are going to have to start going on doing the net zero stuff, right? So, you know, all
doing
of
the net zero stuff. I mean, I have this argument. The other thing I said this week, and I'd love your take on this, Ben, we're having a pile-on. Do you see what I did there? Here's the thing I don't get, right? You know, everybody says Trump's a nightmare, and there's much about him that annoys me, OK? But specifically this, I'm running a business, the United Kingdom. My business is spending more than it's earning. But somebody points out that in a vault underneath my business that hasn't been open for years, there's an amount of money, OK, that will clear my debts and allow my country to be better off. It's called oil and gas under the sea. So I'm going to go and extricate that because that makes fiscal sense. And we're surrounded by these people who go, whoa, no, you can't do that. Oh, this is outrageous. We can't frack, we can't drill.
Yeah, if you look at it in terms of the opportunity cost, we could be making 4.5 trillion extra over the 4.5 trillion that it's going to cost us. Well, it's probably going to cost us more like 10, actually. So what's the difference between the opportunity cost and what we're going to end up with? It's double that again, right? So it's more. It's, you know, we're looking at the 20 trillion territory going out to 2050. So these are incredibly irrational ideas that have been put on the political agenda against democratic will or without any expression or test of a democratic will, and I encourage people, if they think that, and rightly, 4.5 trillion pounds should raise people's eyebrows. Think about the HS2 budget. When that was first announced, that was going to be, I think, in the order of 30 billion, and everyone was going, "Oh gosh, that's a lot of money." And then it turns out that it's going to be 100 billion or thereabouts, and we still don't actually know, and it's going to be much more limited.
And it never got built.
So the government, that's right. A lot of it didn't, or they spend 100 million on a bat tunnel and the such like. So the government and its agencies, and NISO, which has produced this cost estimate, is now a government agency, has an incredibly poor track record of predicting how much things cost. And actually, if you look at the report and if you go into the detail, it's assuming that things like wind turbines and wind farms cost a fraction of what we know they actually cost. So we know that they're producing power in the range of 12p a kilowatt hour, and they're assuming it's going to be more in the order of 5 or 6 pence per kilowatt hour. And this is just counterfactual. It's anti-physics. It's anti-scientific. There's no facts underpinning these cost assumptions, which are very rosy and very much in the favour of the Green
If you said to
agenda.
Ed Miliband, if I said to him, mate, 4.5 trillion pounds against how skint we are, you are going to bankrupt the United Kingdom, and the very working people that you've always pontificated about representing are going to be screwed. What would he say to me?
I think the likes of Ed Miliband have always convinced themselves that they know better, because if they don't carry on with this agenda, well, first of all, there are drop-in replacements, that a wind turbine is good as a coal-fired power station. And the second thing that they've been told the public is that if we don't do it, then the waves are going to inundate Britain and we're all going to drown, or some such thing.
Well, we won't know too much about it, but at least we won't be bankrupt up to that point.
That's right. And of course, if you are facing extreme weather of any kind, then the best thing you can have is diesel energy, because that'll power the JCBs such that you can build flood defences, so you can build coastal defences, and you can rebuild your economy.
It's not. I'm with Phil from Essex. The problem that we have with all politicians with regards to finances, it's not their bloody money. They seem to forget this, and they think that they can make these ideological decisions without any justification. Can I just say to Climate Debate UK and to you, thank you, because I actually sometimes think I'm insane, because I think this is madness, and people look at me sometimes going on, but I think net zero is the single most misjudged ideology. If we're going to bankrupt ourselves on that altar, we're in trouble. We really are in trouble. Yeah. Ben, thank you, my friend. Good to have you on. Please come again. Almost 12 minutes to 9 o'clock. We're live across the UK. I agree with you. Ian says, busy show, busy agenda. Samara will be great. Read the pothole map. Which fool decided to come up with that? Couldn't agree more. This is interesting. Phil from Essex again. We have some of the best engineers in the world, so why can't our engineers come up with a solution to turn our gas turbine power stations into hydrogen and natural gas, and both combustible? So this will be an easy fix? I've no idea. It's too technical, but here's what I think, Phil. I think there's too many people dead set on what is apparently an ideology. Les is in Derbyshire. Friday morning, M1 South, between junction 25 and 24, pothole appeared. 28 cars ended up on the hard shoulder, all with burst tyres and ruined wheels. That is the reality. Let's put Samara Gill on the M1 South. Alistair, it's not just potholes, Jez, it's also wonky sunken manholes and drain covers that are in the road. Alistair, don't be sexist. They can't be called manholes. They're person obstruction covers. Bear that in mind. Jim McIntyre. Glasgow potholes are without doubt a complete disgrace. MOT failures due to broken coil springs, etc. Cannot spend pounds on repairing roads. However, we spend millions on illegal migrants. Absolutely. Hi, Jay. Forget potholes. The biggest pothole is number 10 Downing Street, says Merv. Possibly. We're all sinking into that one. Bill in Cheshire. The worst place for potholes in the UK is inside David Lammy's head. Wow. Andy's in Liverpool. It's not us that has lost respect for the police. It's the police that has lost respect for the British people. Couldn't agree more. 10 to 9. Good morning, Penny.
Morning, Jessa. Good show, as usual. I just wanted to say about, obviously, you're sending Samara around, local places, etc., etc. There's a few down in Southampton that she probably could get some juicy little tidbits from. Now, obviously, we've got the hotel over in Portswood, where the local business next door has closed due to that. That might be an interesting one to send her down to, as well as send her to the local stores on Shirley High Street. The amount of theft that goes on Shirley High Street is insane. If she talks to any business owner on Shirley High Street that owns a shop or has owned a shop in the last year, we'll be able to tell her so much. So those might be an interesting one for her to have a little look at.
To wake up. Islamists are laughing at us. They are using our rights and our freedoms to basically expose to their other Islamists how weak and decadent the West is. We need to stand up for that. And we need to also look into activist judges. You know, there are judges who celebrated the Rwanda defeat of the Tory government and others. Judges' independence must be sacrosanct, but there must be an independent panel when you have clear cases of bias or activism or loony things like this, that they get investigated, sanctioned and maybe even dismissed.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Made it to the loo and back. A very good morning. It's just gone 9 o'clock. We're live across the UK on Talk as the home of common sense. Julia Hartley-Brewer, the Queen of Westminster, here, of course, from 10 o'clock. And Ian Collins, the Housewife's Choice, here from 1 o'clock this afternoon. If you haven't been up already, just tuning in, so much in the news today to get your teeth around. The BBC have been accused, quite rightly, in front of the Sun, of splashing up to £63 million on taxes for presenters, guests and equipment. This is on the back of them wanting to raise the licence fee from £174.50 to 180 quid. Their coverage is biased, and now I can exclusively reveal they're going to spend your money on taxes, which is extraordinary. Also in the news today, the Metropolitan Police, their chief constable, front of the Times, says that homicides are down in the capital, despite the fact that last week and today further proof that 300 people have been recruited to the Met, amongst them sex offenders and rapists and general criminals who have broken into a system that is completely and utterly warped. That also on the back of them being accused of standing by on Friday the Meissen restaurant in Notting Hill, a Jewish-run Israeli restaurant, targeted by pro-Palestinian protesters, and the police just stood there and let that go on. We'll talk about that. But my favourite story of the morning, the Bulgarian woman who basically went to jail as part of a conspiracy. A group of them, Bulgarians, managed to get £54 million out of the British taxpayer in benefit fraud. She only got 3 years. She only served 18 months. When she came out, she's too depressed to work, so the local council have given her a house and £1,300 a month universal credit. So if you are going to work today and paying your tax, don't bother. Go to Bulgaria and screw them. We say a very good morning. It's called Head to Head, but it was being very civil for the last few weeks. The first man of British political commentary, the former political editor of The Sun, the marvellous Trevor Kavanagh. A very good morning, Trevor. How are you?
Good morning, Jeremy. I'm very well, thanks.
Up against the Labour upstart, the man who sold his soul to Love Island. We love him, Matthew Torbett, the only man allowed. You did sell his soul to Love Island. You're getting married to an influencer person.
Yes, and if a finalist of Miss Universe Great Britain wanted you to marry her, you probably would.
Sorry, Miss Universe?
She was a finalist in Miss Universe Great Britain.
Sorry, Trevor, I don't mean to keep you off here. You've managed to get you're getting married to a Miss Universe.
There is a lot to be said about a nice personality and a northern accent, Jez. It makes up for a lot of shortfalls in other areas, I'm sure.
What's happened? God, I'm jealous. Maybe I need to be bitter and twisted and northern. Gentlemen, welcome. I'm going to start, actually, with the BBC. I know that this is for many a subject that makes no sense. And we can sit here and talk about bias coverage, Trev. We can sit here and talk about the way they seem to protect paedophiles, and I mean the Hugh Edwards thing is beyond me. I don't understand why legally they haven't got that money back. I think the messaging is appalling. But you know, for the hard-working Brit, wake up to that headline this morning in the Sun. Taxi for the BBC. BBC to blow 63 million on 24/7 cars, on the back of wanting to save 150 million quid so that their programme improves. We'll start with you, Trevor. What do you make of this? Outrageous, isn't it?
Well, it is amazing, isn't it, that an organisation that is strapped for cash is spending 63 million is a huge amount of money on taxis. I mean, there is an argument, of course, for the fact that some presenters and guests have to be coming in at a very difficult time of day, sometimes at very unsocial hours. But
sure.
Everybody else in the world uses public transport or private transport. And 63 million just makes a nonsense of the whole idea of getting people to the studio. But it's not the only example, is it? They spend a huge amount of money on sending representatives all over the world, not just for one part of the BBC, but for several sports and political identities who all travel together to the same destination. It seems a lot of duplication and a lot of wasted money.
I couldn't agree more. And money, you know, bringing you in, Matty, in terms of where we're at as a country, people who are looking at a licence fee being put up that they don't even feel they should pay because they don't watch the BBC anymore, and yet this sort of call to defund the BBC is met with horror by those on the left. They go, this is our state broadcaster. It's past its sell-by date, isn't it, the BBC? And this is yet another example.
I don't know, I mean, I like the BBC. Right?
Why?
You'd expect me to say, but I like watching it. I like its documentaries. I think its dramas are very good. I have questioned, I'm not stupid, and blinkered that maybe it's because I like their commentators, and maybe that's because it is slanted biased. Maybe it is, I don't know. Maybe that's why I like it and other people don't. The taxis thing, you know, it would be remiss of me, as someone that appears on some of the BBC's channels, to start really slating them.
So you're basically one of those scumbags I'm paying for you to get a cab home.
No, I've always offered to travel in myself. I never like the idea of wasting money, truth be told. I think if it's a
That's what attracted the Miss Universe candidate.
Frugality. No, I think, as Trevor says, if it's after clock and you need to rush people in as breaking news, fine. Whether it's cheaper to sign a contract, as they've done, so that they can have blanket use of Addison Lee or whatever cabs they're using. But I've always said, look, I'll get the tube in. It's actually quicker at some
I just think the optics are appalling. I think we'd all agree that the optics are bad at this time, and especially what's going on. Can I bring us to something that really, again, Trevor, I feel incredibly strongly about? I don't know, have you two seen the footage of this Israeli
just
restaurant?
This morning, I missed it.
Have you seen it, Trevor? Yeah. Watch this. This is a restaurant in Notting Hill, the Misnon restaurant. It's been there 20 years. It was targeted by pro-Palestinian protesters on Friday. Not in a nice way. Jewish families just eating their dinner. This happens. The police do absolutely nothing. Have a watch, have a listen.
Absolute disgrace, and show you what Zionism is really about. Racism, imperialism, and genocide. And we've been here because local residents came to us and asked us to join them.
One of the things that Matthew, you know, and Trevor, you know about me is I deplore any form of racism, but I'm sick to the back teeth that anti-Semitism isn't given the same credentials as other racism. If I was a Jewish person living in Britain right now, I would be scared, I would be angry, I would be annoyed at what I totally believe is two-tier policing. I don't think anybody, Trevor, can get away from agreeing with that, can they?
I don't think they can. I mean, it's an established saying that first they come for the Jews and then others follow. So, look, we're all infidels in the eyes of the Muslim majority, especially the more active members of the Muslim faith. And the fact that a small group of people can basically try to shut down a perfectly legitimate enterprise, which, as you say, has been in operation for a couple of decades, simply because the proprietor and the founder of the organization is Jewish, is just unbelievable in modern Britain. Unfortunately, when I say unbelievable, it no longer is unbelievable because the Muslim tail is beginning to wag the majority dog here. And all sorts of examples exist of coercion on the authorities by Muslim community to make them do things that they wouldn't normally do or wouldn't have done in the past.
I think, and Matt, I want to say this to you, because I agree with Trevor. I understand that sometimes the language, you know, people will say this is wrong. Let me give you an example. It started for me with speaking to the Chief Constable in Rotherham, who said that it took us 8 years to work out the grooming gang thing because we didn't want to upset communities. You look at what happened in the West Midlands with that game of football. The West Midlands Police Chief, Craig Guilford, still hanging on despite there being definitive proof. I mean, there's a video with Ahmed Yaqub, I don't know if you've seen it, saying, "Don't come to our city, you Jews." Community leaders? No, I'm sorry. I repeat what I just said. I find all racism abhorrent, but Trevor is not wrong. There are now real examples that our police and politicians are too scared to act in certain areas for fear of inflaming or upsetting or going against the Muslim community. I've got many Muslim friends. I'm not getting into that debate. It is fundamentally wrong to do it as pro-anybody. Surely the police should be looking at what's right and wrong, whatever your race, colour, creed or religion. They're not. They're not.
I think freedom of protest is important, but the strategy is nonsensical. If you want to go and protest Israel's treatment of Palestinians as you see fit, then you go to the Israeli embassy. You can do it outside number 10, places where there's some meaning behind it. You either want the government to act further or do more or whatever, or you want to protest against the Israeli government. Where people clearly slide into anti-Semitism, whether they realise it or not, is you're protesting against Jewishness. Well, that's not on. You cannot conflate the idea of being Jewish with the Israeli government.
Yeah.
Which there's many flaws, many issues, and has been for years, probably because of their system and the way the coalition is made up. So, and the other thing is, you're right in a sense of not wanting to annoy communities. I think there's an aspect of that. My eyes might be bad. I thought that was a white fella as well leading it, though. This is where people are almost like useful idiots. Do you not see that you're doing bad faith actors bidding by standing there? And my understanding from this, I only saw it this morning, was it was because the restaurant is owned by somebody that was a judge on Israeli MasterChef. Really? Really? Is that so worth your time to go and we must don't buy from there?
But also let's
That's
also talk about the police. Whether people like, and Trevor would agree with me, whether people like what I'm going to say or not, it is a fact. I've got a Jewish friend, a man, who will not wear his Star of David outside his shirt. I've got a Jewish family friend whose kids cannot to this day wear their blazers on school buses. We have footage of a Jewish man walking past a Palestinian protest who's bundled away by the police. Why the hell, Trevor Kavanagh, weren't those people bundled away from inciting anti-Semitism when Jewish people or Israeli people, or maybe not, just sitting down having their dinner? It's two-tier, and that's what winds people up, right?
More than two-tier in a way, because the Muslim community outnumbers the Jewish community in Britain by a huge margin. I mean, there are 4 million officially Muslim people in Britain and something like 150,000, I say 200,000 Jews, and it doesn't take much of the evidence available to us to see why exactly Jewish people are terrified of the threat that is now staring them in the face. Once you start supporting people saying from the river to the sea and export intifada, you end up with Bondi. And, you know, this is not just Bondi. These things are happening across Europe and on our streets. It hasn't reached the point of gunfire and massacres. But that intimidation, that threat, that feeling that basically Jewish people are not fit to live on the soil of this country is absolutely shocking, and it should shock all of us. But most of all, it should shock the people in charge, the police and the government.
Let's talk about the people in charge with my other... There's two favourite stories.
Can I just say quickly on that point? Because I saw over the weekend, I don't think many people will outside of the Labour movement. I think partly we're all quite divided, and I think all communities are facing an element of division and persecution. However, the Housing, Communities and Local Government Secretary, Steve Reed, stood on stage at the Jewish Labour Movement conference over the weekend and told a story how one of his friends, who is Jewish, has been told to not pick his own children up from his school because his presence may upset other people. My bigger question is, though, you're the Secretary of State for Communities and Local Government. Why are you not dragging the Home Office and the Home Secretary in to say, why is this happening to my friend? Mate. How widespread is it? And I just wanted to put that out there, because if that was me and my mate, I know you've got to do government for everybody, but I'd think, well, this isn't on, I need to sort this out. And it worries me that we're not, if that's your mate. So sorry.
No, mate, it's a great example. I think people are too scared. And listen, I'm not saying that any criticism racially is right. I'm not saying that I want everybody treated the same. Sorry, for me, if you break the law, you break the bloody law. I don't understand why we're kowtowing to certain people, certain parts of our community, either for political reasons or what we perceive to be ideological reasons. It doesn't make sense. Let's talk about my other bugbear this morning, men. We'll start with you, Matt. A Bulgarian woman who took part in Britain's biggest ever benefit fraud has made a mockery of taxpayers by, well, she served 3 years for 54 million quid. Then she got out. She was depressed as she can't work, and she's now on £1,300 a month universal credit. I respectfully suggest or ask, why the hell wasn't this Bulgarian fraudster deported the minute she was released? It's a joke.
Did she do it on her own?
No.
So listen, I'm not here to stick up for the woman.
How can you stick up for the woman?
Because, Jez, the only thing I would say, I'm not aware of this story.
You're not aware of this story?
No, I don't have it until this morning.
She's returned to a London home and signed on to universal credit alongside her husband. Both are depressed, who can't work, and she says £1,300 a month isn't enough.
Did the husband do it as well?
There was about 8 of them.
So my concern would be, and this isn't to say this is the case, has she been the victim of grooming amongst other men?
Oh my God, because she's a woman.
No, because it happened to me. It's not because she's a woman. If you're in a vulnerable position, and I was homeless and whatever else, and you choose to do things because you feel like you have no choice, I'm not saying she has.
You turned your life around, though.
I have, and I can understand why she'd be depressed.
You're going to marry an influencer, Miss Universe, for Christ's sake. That's quite a long way from the streets.
But at the same time, can she turn her life around? She's made her bed now, unfortunately.
I'd deport her.
It took me maybe we should. It took me the best part of 10 years.
Yeah, but you did it
to get through the record. I did it because of support as well. And this is not to listen. She's told
You didn't steal 54 million quid, did you?
No, it was a bit less than that.
Yeah, Trevor, this is a disgraceful story, isn't it, mate?
Yes, but it isn't surprising, is it, Jeremy? Somehow, these shocking, horrific abuses of our welfare system come along more or less every other day. And what can we do about it? The government won't attack it. The government will not deal with the abuses of the welfare state, which is costing us tens of billions of pounds a year at the expense of other important issues such as our national defence. I mean, these millions that she's milked the system of could have gone to the sort of causes that the government, not just this government, but the previous governments have embraced in terms of helping hard-working people to get struggle through the cost of living.
I just wanted to ask you, you're talking about the abuses of the welfare state, and I would never let Starmer off the hook. But this isn't something that's just reared its ugly head in the last 18 months. People have been abusing the welfare system for years, and I don't understand, probably why I'm not a politician. Why hasn't somebody gone, do you know what? Like, you're a special advisor. You say to me, right? Should not be a really good idea is to point out how many millions of pounds are being siphoned out of a system that was set up to help people who can't help themselves to the detriment of those who do. Wouldn't it be a good idea, a bit like your Steve Reed example, to do something about that? Why would successive governments, Trev, not touch it at all?
Well, it's a very simple answer to this, actually, Jeremy. It's because they face the shroud-waving screams of horror from the quangos, the charities, and indeed Whitehall and parts of the public sector about the appalling treatment of people who are hard up and struggling, in their words, when in fact they're stealing from the state. They're stealing from their fellow taxpayers. They're stealing from the people who are actually getting up in the morning and going to work. But the governments, this one and the last one, are terrified of facing that sort of, as I say, shroud-waving. People will die as a result of these cuts.
But isn't the argument politically to say? Is the argument not politically to say to both of you, right? That's nearly said the wrong word. I want the genuine people who are missing out to benefit and not the sponges. So you're making the wrong argument, I'd be saying. You're telling me that people are going to die. I want to siphon off the money from people who are taking advantage so that those people are better off, Matthew Talbot. That's the argument, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you can save up to £7 billion by not allowing PIP to go to people with mild mental health issues. As someone, like many people, that struggles with depression and has got through the other side last few years, it does you no good to be at home. And I think routine and work can be a very good thing. You will have very bad times, but if it's mild, that's also life. You'll face other stresses in life, unfortunately. You're going to lose people and we'll have to go through all manner of things. And I think for productivity alone, if we're going to take the human bit out of it and the economic, we need more people in work than there currently is. I think part of the problem was maybe a tale of priorities. I think for years, certainly pre-coalition and maybe post-coalition, about 1% of benefit fraud, 1% of benefit claimants were fraudulent. About £1 billion quid, a lot of money in a sense, but
what's the percentage now, do we reckon, then?
Well, it's probably more because COVID ruined a lot of things. Because I remember signing on very briefly out of work and there was no checks. No checks. And it was no face-to-face, which is the government have said they're going to go back to, but it should have been done a long time ago. So people were signed off. And then it was that thing of we'll investigate it later. But if you've got more and more and more and more people signing off, when are you going to find the time to investigate them? It's going to cost you more money to get investigators in externally or whatever else. So there should be a lot more face-to-face. Mental health should be considered if it is the most extreme cases. You're going to get people that are in a bad way. Unfortunately, that's the way of life. Some people you're never going to be able to help. It's like lots of things in life. But I think for mild aspects of mental health, there needs to be a rethink on how we retrain people and get them into work and get them up to that point, certainly.
Trev, I'm going to finish with you because I doubt if you two are going to tell me you know this story. Do you know the story about Abu Zubaydah?
I'm not sure I do.
This is brilliant. Abu Zubaydah has never set foot in the United Kingdom. He was arrested because of terror charges and jailed at Guantanamo Bay between 2002 and 2006. During his questioning by the CIA 25 years ago, They got some advice from MI5 and MI6 on 2 relevant questions they could ask him. He's managed to get himself a human rights lawyer a year ago and sue the British government for being responsible for his incarceration in such an appalling place. And Starmer's government over the weekend paid out millions to a man who's never set foot in the United Kingdom, Trevor Kavanagh. Let's finish with this story. What the hell's going on, man?
Well, in a sense, this single story sums up the state of modern Britain, isn't it? Where we want to be nice, we want to be kind, we want to be fair. We don't know the people involved, they never lived here, but nevertheless, give them a few million quid from taxpayers' money and hope they go away. There is absolutely surely no argument which would make us liable for the cost of any reparations to this man, even if he'd been treated badly. We haven't been responsible for what he was in jail for, and I cannot see any argument that justifies that amount of money being spent on his behalf.
And that's my point, Matty, just to finish, right, is in this world where we want to be perceived to do the right thing, right, Chagos Islands, sorry, I said the wrong word. Your people are homeless. There are people homeless, you know this, there are people unable to pay their bills or heat their homes. Priorities, that's ludicrous. That sums up what's wrong with this country.
Yeah, but partly serves us right. I think if you're gonna get involved somewhere where it isn't, it's not prison.
Serves us right.
Because if
the guy's still in, he's a criminal. He's a terrorist.
No, but that's the problem. We
Why are we
don't
giving
know
money
that,
to
Jess.
them?
We don't know that. He's in Guantanamo Bay where people aren't put on trial. They're not properly arrested. They're just tortured in the hope they'll tell you something. I've seen the clips of them being force-fed. It's awful. I've watched.
I'm not sticking up for Guantanamo Bay. What I'm saying is it's not our bloody problem.
It isn't. But we've obviously poked our nose in and gone, we better find out. If he's not coming here, why do we need to find anything out? But MI6...
No, you've got the wrong story. They've asked for our advice on how to question him.
So someone's asked
the CIA again went to the MI6 and said, can you give us a few examples of what we should do? They gave it to them in an email, and we've paid out millions. You can't defend that, Matty. I don't care. I know you've sold
what I
your
would
soul to
say,
an
without
influencer.
sounding like a party apparatchik, is this court case hasn't happened overnight. It started under the last government. What do you do if the court orders you to pay? Say, no, I'm not doing it.
Yes.
Well, interesting.
I'd close the borders, run the courts, sack the judges, you know. But can we just thank you, Trevor Kavanagh, thank you, Matt Talbot. Before you go, is the magazine deal done for the wedding?
Have to wait and see.
When is the wedding?
We're hoping for May 27th.
Where's the invite?
We've not sent them out yet.
Saying I want to do the DJing, you know me, I'll be there.
And I've mentioned it to the mum and dad yesterday, don't worry.
Guys, thank you very much indeed. Earlier on we had a text, this is really interesting, from Sean, who said, for the second time in 2 months our water in Tunbridge Wells is off again. Here's the irony this morning. Our roads are flooded and we still have a hosepipe ban in place. Now, we thought that was weird. Breaking news in the last minutes. Thousands of households in Kent and Sussex remain without water, have low pressure or intermittent supply. Kent County Council declares a major incident as South East Water blames the recent cold weather and a subsequent breakout of leaks and bursts. I'd say to those poor people waiting for their water to come on, I bet your bills go up very soon. Let's say a very good morning. Who is it? Jane. Hello, Jane.
Me again. Just checked in on his Twitter account. No tweets. Oh my God, what we're going to do for the day. It's a nightmare. We haven't got a Prime Minister that's tweeting anymore. What a shame. Bring out the flags.
Ours is still up as we speak.
Yep, so are ours.
Right. And
you've got 3, haven't you? Yeah.
3, yeah.
Two artificial,
Mrs.
one
Kyle
real.
will take them down.
No,
one for each family.
No, but wasn't there that
one
bloke?
for each wedding.
There's that bloke who gives a hand, wasn't there?
Sean.
Only
a hand.
The manservant.
He came up to me at Christmas and he went, I can't believe I've just had a message from my friend going, Jez has been on that grumpy old man saying you've only got 4 fingers and your nickname's Kit Kat.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
I love that's why I do it. At 9:28, we're live across the UK. It's Talk Breakfast JK till 10. Julia Hartley-Brewer from 10 and Ian Collins from 1 o'clock this afternoon. A couple of stories that really grabbed our attention this morning, and we've been talking about them since the beginning of the show. The police standing by as protesters targeted that Israeli restaurant in Notting Hill. You might have heard of our new feature, our new roving reporter on breakfast, Samara Gill. SOS, I'm calling it. Send us Samara. She's going to go down to that restaurant later, the Minzen restaurant, I think, in Notting Hill, and find out what's going on. Purely appalling behaviour. The police being told that there's a two-tier approach. They're anti-Semitic. West Midlands police also under pressure because of banning the Jewish fans. I'm delighted to have now author and columnist, friend of the show, Jake Wallace-Simmons. Jake, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, good morning.
Have you seen the footage of Friday night at this restaurant in Notting Hill?
Yeah, it's appalling. I mean, I think the worst part was the loads and loads of police just standing on the pavement and watching, not doing anything. It makes you wonder when, as a society, we're going to get the message. These people hate Jews, hate Britain, hate the West, and are determined to bring us down by fair means or foul. We've seen them actually supporting the Ayatollah of Iran, not just recently, but over the last few years at marches, who's busy gunning down his own people in their hundreds in an attempt to enforce Sharia law in his country. That's what they want here. We need to wise up and crack down before it's too late.
I always feel like whenever I talk to you, I feel like apologising. I mean, everybody knows that I have many Jewish friends. I find it so appalling, and I don't know if I've asked you this before. If I have, I apologise. I think any form of racism is disgusting and heinous. But why do we seem only interested, be it the police or society in general, with racism against people of colour? Anti-Semitism is as vile a racist thought as any form of anything else, Islamophobia, whatever you want to say. And yet look at the West Midlands, that police chief, Craig Guilford, the one that was grilled at the Parliamentary Select Committee, couldn't even say his name, he was lying that much. He's still in his job. Home Office has done nothing. This man banned Israeli fans, OK? He didn't do it because he'd been warned. He did it because he bowed to the Muslim community in Birmingham. Have you seen that video of, what's that guy? Have you seen this, Jake? I'm going to play this, I don't care. This is Ahmed Yaqub. For people who think that we're being unfair to that police chief because he banned Jewish football fans, this man is apparently one of the reasons why the police chief was worried about the local community. Make your own minds up. This is Ahmed Yaqub.
Maccabi Tel Aviv fans have been banned. Good news for Aston and Aston Villa supporters. And we need to thank our brother Ayub Khan for all his hard work. But that was the start of the work. We've got the violent fans away from Aston. Now is the next step.
Absolutely, like my dear brother Ahmed Yaqub just said, that the fans have been banned from coming, and rightfully so. Fans who in Amsterdam were chanting, kill the Arabs. The next step is, if we are banning countries like Russia and not allowing their fans to come, then quite rightly, we shouldn't be only banning Israeli fans. We should be banning Israeli teams.
I mean, honestly, Jake, I don't mean to be rude. That apparently is some sort of person who had some influence on the police's decision to ban Maccabi Tel Aviv fans. That's blatant anti-Semitism.
Video of that chap with a baseball bat advising people to keep them in the boot of their cars. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is rotten to the core and it stinks. The police chief constable, Craig Guilford, has lied and lied again. Of course, we all know that now. We've seen the evidence with our own eyes and ears. But not only that, the Times revealed that he was actually appointed. He was interviewed for his job on the panel was a member of a very controversial local mosque. So it would appear that the Islamists own him from the beginning, and this is now a moment where they're reaping the fruits of that influence. But something else. Today, The Telegraph reported that 90 Muslim groups formally wrote to the Chief Constable to thank him for permitting these rabid anti-Israel protests at Birmingham universities without restricting them. Now, one thing that I found back in October was a video of Asrar Rashid, if you remember the cleric who on video called for no mercy, quote unquote, to be shown to Tel Aviv fans. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Now, I've got a video of him at a university in Birmingham, Aston University, and in it he says, and I quote directly, I'm going to tweet this so you can see this online for yourself. He said, and I quote, "When there is a society of Muslims that live in the community as Muslims and the disbelievers that may surround that community, the Quran has legislated something known as jihad, the armed struggle or armed warfare against those." That's what he said at a Birmingham university, and Muslim groups thanked Craig Guilford for allowing pro-Palestinian protests to happen at those universities. He is owned, he is under their influence, he is doing their bidding, and Britain is in deep trouble because this is not the only example, I guess, of such influence across parts of Britain.
It's astonishing to me. I can't even, I mean, I can sit here open-mouthed. I mean, Keir Starmer, we've got 1 minute. He's married to a Jewish woman. You don't hear a sound. You don't hear a sound from the government or society in general. I will not stop talking about anti-Semitism. I think it's a national disgrace, and I don't understand. And, Jake, how is Craig Guilford still in his job, for Christ's sake? He should be out.
Well, I think he will be out within the next few days, certainly this week. He has to be out. There's no way he can continue in his job, having not just done the bidding of the Islamists, but also lied openly and brazenly and tried to cover his tracks. But, you know, you said earlier that you wanted to apologise to Jews. Jews don't need apologies, but we need your support, which you are giving and other people are giving. We need to be defiant, or not just on behalf of Jews, but on the behalf of the country. This is a British police officer bending to Islamists who wish to take us down and impose a Sharia law on our country. We need to defy the Islamists and get rid of mealy-mouthed, craven idiots like Craig Guilford and get people who are going to protect all of us, not just Jews, who protect Britain, protect our streets against these people who wish to take it over and subvert our way of life. It's a desperate situation.
Jake, always a pleasure, mate. Always glad to have you on. We'll keep talking about something that we both care deeply about. Jake Wallace-Simmons, thank you very much indeed. Am I going straight to the next story? Yeah, 25 to 10. Thank you to Jake. I wanted to bring in quite possibly the greatest KC in the history of the world, the man who dealt with the wrongful convictions of the IRA, Guildford and Birmingham pub bombings, led the inquest into the deaths of Dodi El Fayed and Princess Diana, inquest into the death of Jill Dando. We're delighted. Michael Mansfield, KC, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Good to have you on. I wanted to talk to you about two things. There's one Labour MP who deserves huge credit. His name is Carl Turner, part of the new...
Sorry? He voted against the abolition of juries for all sorts of trials.
Yeah, Lammy stood up and said, I want to scrap jury reforms, which to me is a complete disgrace. So Carl Turner, the only one to show his true colours, has actually resigned the whip and fears that it'll be thrown out because he says this is an absolute dereliction of what is important. This country has been built on a legal system where you are, you know, tried by your peers, not a judge who could in some instances be biased or have a politically weighted opinion. Fair play to Carl. What Lammy is doing is a disgraceful attack on our legal system, isn't it, Michael?
Well, I think, yes. I don't want to exaggerate it, but I've been at the job for now nigh on 55 years. So I've had, I think, a lot of experience, more than most. And the heart of the experience I've had has always been treasuring, nurturing the fundamental principle, democratic principle, that is, you are tried by your peers, absolutely. And it obviously historic, goes back hundreds of years. And it is the point that tends to get lost in all of this, is that it's the one bulwark, if you like, against arbitrary government. Juries have consciences, and juries are members of the public, chosen randomly. Perhaps, if you look at our system, they're the most democratic form you can get, where you get 12 people in off the street, basically, and they decide on important issues. Some of them are political issues, and it's interesting that that's where governments, one after another, want to get rid of juries because actually they come up with verdicts that governments don't like. So I'm strongly against it, and I laud the activities of that singular Labour MP, but I gather there are more in the wings now who are going to come out who've already declared against it.
It does seem to be, as is, and I'm not asking you to get political, but it does seem to be yet another balmy answer to an increasing problems. You know, stacked courts. I don't know. Create more judges, build more courtrooms. I don't know. I mean, it's the same ideology that says that if you get put, I mean, I'm old-fashioned, probably older-fashioned than you. You know, you get 5 years, you should serve 5 years. This rubbish that you should be out halfway through and they want to lower that even more, what, to be released to commit even more crimes? We've gone as soft as anything. But to say, you know, oh, let's cut out juries, let's just get it done. When you see some of the decisions, Michael, that judges are making, it doesn't instill confidence in the British public in any which way.
Well, that is a very good point about instilling confidence, because I think the phrase that's used frequently, judges use it about themselves, namely, they become case hardened. And therefore, if you've got one person deciding, which is what this scheme is about, is one person dealing with trials and making decisions, it is inevitable that because you've been doing it day after day after day, you become almost mechanical at the way you do it. But can I just make one other point, which is linked to the principal point? We need it as a principal bulwark, a sort of pillar of the democratic society we should have. Secondly, where does all the evidence come from? There isn't a shred, not a shred. And if you get anybody on this program, ask them this question. Tell us what the evidence is, the research is, that shows the backlog is due to jury trial. It's nonsense. 2% of crime anyway is dealt with this way. Of the 80,000, I don't know how many are necessarily jury trials, but the real problem is that even if you have a judge alone, it's not going to make a fantastic amount of difference. And the point is, it isn't about that at all, because the Justice Minister was asked the other day, Sackman, what would you do even if there wasn't a backlog? They still want to get rid of juries. Anyway, it's a principle.
I think it's another example of Labour's ideology. I agree with you. I don't think it's an answer to an issue. Can I put that to you? What do you believe would be the correct legal way to deal with what is undoubtedly a backlog of cases, Michael? What would your advice be?
Actually, you've put your finger on it yourself a little earlier. Namely, we have a system that's broken because successive governments, not just Labour politicians, the Tories are at it as well. So over the last 50 years, there's been de-investment in the system. We've got courts standing empty. 20% of the main court centres are empty. They're not working to capacity. Judge sitting times have been restricted. In Europe, and certainly other jurisdictions, what they do is they split the day so that you have more than one case in the same court building in one 24-hour period. That's what they do. So that's what's not happened here. So with courts empty, judges not sitting to capacity, it could make a big difference if they just got on and used what they got and improved what they've got.
I'm so glad you're on, because there's a story that's come out today. It doesn't matter that you might not have heard about it, because you'll deal with it as you would do. There's a gentleman called Abu Zubaydah, who is a man who was basically detained and still is in Guantanamo Bay. The CIA, Guantanamo Bay, nobody agrees, but the CIA, in prosecuting him 25 years ago, took via email some advice that they asked for from MI5 and MI6. Today it's come out, Michael, that the UK has settled out of court by paying a substantial sum, which means in its millions, for being, what was this? Helen Duffy's international counsel said this settlement provides a measure of redress and implicit recognition of our clients' intolerable suffering at the hands of the CIA, enabled by the UK. But the point I wanted to make to you, Michael, was she goes on to say, this case is deeply relevant today as states ride roughshod over international law and the world looks to other states to respond. There are critical lessons about the cost of cooperating with the US or other allies, flouting international norms. Why are we paying millions to a man who's never set foot in this country, Michael Mansfield?
Well, I think the principles behind this, which you've just read out, obviously I don't know this particular case, but my concern alongside this attack on the jury system is the dereliction is about the rule of law. We're living in a global situation in which if you've got enough guns, you've got enough bombs, you've got enough gunboats, all the rest of it, you rule the waves. The idea of principle's gone out the window, and that's my concern. Here was a situation, Guantanamo Bay was grotesque. I'm not going to go through all the details of that. And at the time, the British government were denying any involvement in all of it. And that's why this is so important. Just like they denied any involvement in Venezuela recently. But it's now turning out that they actually have assisted with the stopping of boats and so on. So actually, I think there's a duplicity in government that's been there for 30, 40, 50 years. And you end up in situations like this where ordinary individuals are having to be compensated for...
But he's not with respect, and I would never disagree with you in a court, or I'd be too scared. I'm asking you to assume from just Britons getting up this morning and working here that a man who's never set foot in this country, who's imprisoned for terror charges, is being paid... I'm not talking about the legal process, or I'm talking about is being paid millions of pounds.
Yes, and I think, I'm sorry to say, I'm not sorry to say at all. I mean, I do disagree with you. The fact is, if we have participated in an illegality which has kept somebody locked up in isolation, I don't know whether this guy is guilty or not. There were lots of people just detained in Guantanamo Bay year after year after year, and then they were dealt with by kangaroo courts. So the system that pertains to Guantanamo is a long way from the jury system, so that's my point.
If I ever get into trouble, can I call you?
Yeah, I'll be around.
Good man. Michael Mansfield, KC, legend. Thank you for being on 50 years. Just bear in mind that man, right? I was reading this. Represented the victims of families of the Lockerbie bombings. Represented Commander Limaj, accused of war crimes in Kosovo. Represented Michael Barrymore at the inquest of Stuart Lubbock. Represented the Bloody Sunday victims' families. He is probably one of the best KCs that this country has ever had. And interesting to get his opinion on that stuff. 9:45. Live across the UK. Loads and loads of response from loads of people. Let's say a very good morning, he says. That's what I love. We go from probably one of the world's greatest KCs to some woman called Sasha talking about her bins. Morning, Sasha.
Morning, Jeremy. It's Sasha from Cheshire here. I've just returned from a lovely 2 weeks in Lanzarote to find that our bin has not been emptied. We had snow, which, fair enough, cancelled the bin collection, but now they still haven't collected it, and it's not going to be collected until the 20th if it's not picked up today. So what exactly am I paying my council tax for?
I don't know why I'm in trouble this morning, right? The enemy, you know, the War Office, the wife, as Grandad used to call my mother, and I've taken it up. I got a text message, 7 o'clock. No, Kyle! The bins have gone out! I've missed it. We haven't had any bins collected for 3 weeks. We were children nappies and old people's nappies and all that. So my afternoon, I have to say, Sasha, will be spent at the tip. But Mrs. Kyle is blaming me, despite the fact I haven't been home all weekend. So that'll be nice, won't it? Back in 3.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh, the irony. Earlier on, we got this text from Sean who said, for the second time in 2 months, our water in Tunbridge Wells is off again. Here's the irony, he says, this morning, some of the roads are flooded and we still have a hosepipe ban in place. Quickly following Sean's text, breaking news that thousands of... I don't mean to make that sound exciting. Breaking news. Sad news. Thousands of households in Kent and Sussex remain this morning without water. They've got low pressure or intermittent supplies. Kent County Council declares a major incident as South-East Water blames the recent cold weather, of course, and subsequent breakouts of leaks. Love to know if you're in that area. Earlier on, we made an announcement about our new breakfast show roving reporter. If you missed it, have a watch. Ladies and gentlemen, the breakfast show's new roving reporter, Samara Gill's in the building.
Hello. I'm so excited. I think that this is fantastic.
You're a week late, love.
Well, there's that, but I did come from Australia, so it took about a week to get here via the... Yeah.
Did you come on a boat?
No, I did not actually. Thank goodness. Wouldn't do that to you guys. But you've got enough people coming over your shores.
Listen, I've got so many ideas about this, but just explain to people in your words how you see your role, because this, for me, is getting news out to where it matters, locally across the United Kingdom, because you'll go anywhere, love, won't you?
I will go anywhere, and you know that, Jeremy. Look, the thing is, about the breakfast show specifically, I don't know any breakfast show in the country that will actually get out of its Westminster bubble and go and get stories that no one is talking about. And that's really going to be my aim, because at the moment, we're in really dire times here. We have got a Prime Minister who's been cancelling elections, he's been eroding the right to jury trials, he's been attempting to ban X, which is very much the only thing kind of keeping free speech alive at the moment. So I think it's more important now than ever to have someone who is out there collecting stories that actually matter, because the thing is, you know, in this studio there's only so much we can do. There's only so many people we can talk to, and I've listened to over 10,000 hours probably of phone calls of our lovely viewers, and I just hope that we can get out there and tell that story, and I think it's important at the moment.
And thank you so much indeed. I decided to call it SOS, Send Our Samara. We might work on that. Thank you so much already for your texts and your calls. 87222, your calls on 0344 499 1000. Samara Gill will come anywhere. It's National Pothole Day on Thursday. I wanted to stand in a pothole. Do you have potholes near you? Today we're going to send her down to that Jewish restaurant that was targeted by pro-Palestinians on Friday so disgustingly. But wherever you are in the UK, farming community, business community, you run a shop that keeps being victims of crime, you've been mugged, you've been burgled, anything you want, we will send Samara Gill. Morning, Luke.
Send Samara, send Samara, send Samara, send Samara.
Brilliant, Luke. Get a job. We say a very good morning to Leicester in Leicester. Josie, not good morning to Leicester in Josie. Good morning, Josie in Leicester. How are you?
Morning. How are you, my lovely? Are you good?
I'm not bad for a balding 60-year-old has-been. What we got?
Right, OK. Nottingham, the worst potholes in the world. Kimberley, Gampston, Bulwell,
Newark?
Valley, Newark, all of Nottingham. Trust me, the whole of Nottingham, it's the worst place. Look, I drive on the roads. I've been out on the roads for the last 12 years. Nottingham is the mark. Let's put a stamp on it. And then...
Well, we don't want to put a stamp on it. We want to put concrete on it, don't we? That's what we want to do.
Yeah,
Tarmac.
Yeah. You know what I mean. Let's put a stamp on it to let everybody know Nottingham is the worst place.
Am I sending Samara to Nottingham then?
I want to send Samara to Leicester, LE4, LE5, LE3. I want her to investigate all the people that come over legally on student visas. How many are still overstayers in Leicester? 3 years are up. 3 years are up, and they're still using our schools to send their children free.
Right, Samara's off to Leicester. Thank you, Josie. Let's go to Exeter. David, good morning. Great part of the country. How are you, my friend?
Jeremy, it is indeed a great part of the country. I want to back up what your guest, Michael Manson, was saying about the abuse of arbitrary power jury trial. So I've had experience of this. I was helping a friend of mine who was a Northern Ireland veteran. I'm apparently not allowed to name him, who's going to be fitted up, been fitted up on a murder charge for service in Northern Ireland without a jury. Now, they've done this a few times over there with Northern Ireland veterans where they've took the juries off them, and you can see that abuse of power immediately. Now, we've pushed back on it. I've got MPs writing to ministers and so forth, press coverage, officers pushing back, and there's a lot of senior officers pushing back against this now. But the point that Michael made is absolutely critical. It is the abuse of arbitrary power with this. Once you take the jury away, you've allowed then what could be an authoritarian government to fully abuse that, because the jury has the power to overturn bad law, bad policy, and anything the government does. And that's why they want rid of them.
Couldn't agree more. Listen, it's great to have you on, David Innex, to keep the fight going. He actually highlights the subject that I loathe, that you can fight in the British Army, male or female. You can, years and years ago, and 30 years later, when you're a pensioner and you're trying to retire, not to thanks, you're being prosecuted by a Labour government that says you might have done this, you might have done that. A Labour government, frankly, its front bench who's, well, never been to war, never been to work, to be honest, been to university, joined the Fabian Society and are trying to run departments in this country. Julia's here at 10. We'll see her in a tick, and more of your calls coming up after this.
Our esteemed state broadcaster, the BBC, that we all have to pay £180, $220 or so a year by law to fund, was foisting upon us a practising paedophile.
A couple of days before, I was at the Trick Awards because James Well, the guy I used to work with, got a Lifetime Achievement Award, and he was sitting on a table with all BBC executives, and he went up to get a prize, and they all knew this was coming, and they didn't care.
The BBC always tries to cover everything up. That's what they try to keep this a secret, and shame on them.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back to Breakfast, back tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. Among our promises tomorrow, the chairman of Reform UK, Dr David Bill, will be back on Talk answering your questions about reform and how it believes it can form the next government. Samara Gill, our new roving reporter, will be out at that Israeli-run restaurant in Notting Hill, the Mizzen restaurant that was targeted by pro-Palestinian callers. Right now, though, before I finish and Julia takes over, your chance to win the trip of a lifetime to San Francisco. We're giving away flights. We're giving away a 3-night stay at a 4-star hotel, $2.5 grand spending money. You want to win tickets to the Super Bowl as well? Pin back your lug-holes, peeps.
For your chance to win, text TALK to 83338. Texts cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate. Or call 0343 418 7260. Lines close 22nd January 2026, 4 p.m. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at TalkSport.com. So for your chance to win, text TALK to 83338 now.
Good luck is what I'm saying. Basically, good luck. I'm sorry, the beauty of my next guest, well, the next presenter, just blew me out the water then. Julia Hartley,
I'm just wondering where my bacon sandwich is. I think everyone will remember Thursday morning. Was I, everyone? Was I or was I not promised a bacon sarnie?
Christian, that
just
Damien
saying.
is crap at his job. We promised the Queen of Broadcasting Right, just make the order for tomorrow.
It's
I promise you.
It's all part of the calorie-controlled January diet.
Streaky, or
I'll take bacon.
You nearly said I'll take it as it comes.
I'll take it as it comes.
Absolutely stopped
Anyway,
yourself.
lots to talk about Iran.
Mate.
Do you think? I mean, this thing. Should Trump take action? Would bombing the mullahs make any difference at this point? Should Keir Starmer get involved? I mean, he'll be still sitting on the fence.
My theory is that people need to know that the mad mullahs of Tehran have been financing every single terrorist group in the Middle East. This isn't just madness. I'm not always on Trump's side, but Hezbollah, the Houthis, the Hamas are funded by Iran.
Everything's funny. But what I find amazing, really, is again, it's like all these human rights people really obsessed with Gaza, the Palestinians, don't care two hoots about young women getting shot in the back of the head in Iran for just demanding a right to, like, you know, just a basic normal life and not have to have their head covered.
Agree.